The Fullbringer arc is the best Bleach arc yet, and we're going to explain why. Hello and welcome back to another episode of Volume 1, the anime and manga podcast where we highlight and discuss new series each week. But today we are back again with more Dunkai, more Bleach, our last Dunkai.
Wow.
Review discussion episode for a while, or they'll be different going forward. We're going to be watching the anime and reading the corresponding chapters that episode covers. Chapters. The corresponding episodes, because there's going to be 4 cores and 7 years ago. But today, my name is Josh Fullbringer Michaels. And I am it was the obvious one. I am joined by...
I would say Mehgan Fullbring it around Perrine.
Okay.
Bring it around.
Yours was better. Yours was more creative. You get points for that.
Thank you.
Dude, I'm so excited. Probably literally and legitimately the most excited I've ever been to talk about an arc of Bleach. We said it before in the beginning, but this arc is my favorite arc of Bleach that we have read yet. Upon reread as well, it was amazing from start to finish. And I have so many reasons why that I've written down in my notes. But before I go on for too long, Mehgan, I want to know, as a first-time reader, how you felt.
Same. I fell in love. Like, it was, again, from start to finish, like, so amazing. It's everything that I love about Bleach, and it's done so well. I've said it before in the beginning of Bleach. It is kind of like that, not like, it is kind of slice of life, but it focuses on, Ichigo as a main character, not just fighting, but like growing. And I think that this arc did that so well. And we've seen him grow through fights, but we haven't seen him kind of like grow with himself in dealing with like the other, I guess, like quote unquote human characters in Bleach so far. So this was just like a breath of fresh air. You could totally tell Kubo was doing this purposefully, and it was just a full bring around. It was amazing, and it had everything I loved from start to finish. It was awesome. It is also my I would say this arc, and then like the past arc. I think that's how I would classify it. And people in our community, like, even were telling me, like, oh yeah, Megan's gonna love this arc. Megan's gonna love this arc, because I did, like, say, oh yeah, this is what I did like about Bleach early on. I mean, this was everything.
I mean, what it really does feel like is that it sort of like grounds everything again and gives other characters time to shine. Kubo talked about it in an interview and mentioned that, he did want this arc to be sort of a reboot, right? To sort of restart the story of Bleach. A reboot of sorts, right? Because so much had happened leading up until this point. Everything that happened in Hueco Soul Society, Aizen was kind of behind everything. This is almost like a fresh start for the series. And it does bring in everything that I loved about Bleach too. But it also just, like you said too, focuses on growth, humanity, and what it means to be human, and also so many other things. Abandonment. I mean, all the Fullbringer backstories, power, everything that it touches on is so significant, on top of the concepts being introduced, being badass, but also being fun.
Yeah.
Like, this just felt so fun.
Yeah.
But also badass. And before, I love Bleach, but I do feel like Kubo loves badass moments. And I love them too. And when they come, he delivers. But this just felt so fun.
It was like the perfect mix. I mean, it was just done so well. I would say the pacing was like perfect. The the emotional moments were balanced out with the badass moments, the fighting, and all of the characters got to shine more. We got to see more of Orihime, more of Chad, more of Uryu, but obviously not as much as we'd like. But more of Ichigo on a deeper level that I've been like waiting to see, and he has had development for sure. But I feel like this now he's finally gotten it. He's finally grown up, and it just feels so amazing. And it's a reboot, and having the characters even like 17 months into the future, that also feels like a fresh new start, because we get to see all of these like small kid characters grown up now, and
grown up a
little bit, but more so than they were, because in that time frame we only got to see them be that small for a long time, and then this is just like a brand new fresh start, not only for them but like for Ichigo too. So it was just, and again, like if we really talk about Bleach, it is about Ichigo, not about Soul Society. Like it is like about the main character. So when we were focused so much on Soul Society and like the Soul Reapers and Shinigami, like it is taken a step back and letting Ichigo and the other characters shine more, which I like really, really enjoyed. The captains did come at the end, which I saw people kind of torn about. I didn't really have a problem with it, but people were like, damn, I wish Chad and Orihime and Uryu like were the ones to step up instead of the captains. But I just don't know if they would have been able to.
Right.
And in a lot of ways, there is a reason why they came back.
Yeah. And in a lot of ways, they do step up. And in a lot of ways, they do show how much they've grown. And it's almost like Ichigo being out of commission, as painful as that was for him and for us to read, to
and for them.
him, and for them, it does give them time to sort of catch up to Ichigo, even though
you can't
really catch up to him, but it does give them time to not, I guess, get left in the dust. While he's out of commission, they're training, they're working hard, and it shows, and you feel it. That's why I say growth. Not to mention the dialogue. There are so many lines of dialogue that I have highlighted in my notes that are just poetic. I mean, Kubo was on some sort of drugs when he
really
wrote this
was.
shit, because the dialogue is on another level. So many elements that I loved and missed about Bleach are back, and they're at the forefront of the story. I really feel like, to kind of summarize it, it's focusing less on fights and more on character.
Yeah.
And to that point of like, some people may be feeling disappointed about when the captains show up. This time, it felt earned. Like when they showed up, you really felt it. It felt so earned. I got excited and pumped, and I was hyped to see them. And when the fights did happen, there was so much that came before it that it made the stakes of those fights feel more real.
Yeah.
What it really was is like, and you talked about the pacing too. What it really was is the pacing, and how a lot of the major fights, of course, were saved for the end, and they sometimes they're scattered throughout, but the build up to it was perfect. And I really feel like, although this arc was a shorter arc, this arc, to me personally, accomplished more in such a short time than other arcs were able to accomplish in almost double the amount of chapters.
Yeah.
I feel like this accomplished more emotionally, and grounded the story more than Hueco Mundo. Soul Society had the Rukia element, and Hueco Mundo had the Orihime element. I do feel like Soul Society, it's so hard as you continue to read and experience every arc. That you can't have certain arcs without other arcs. I do feel like there was more of an emotional connection to Soul Society, from me and my nostalgia and my childhood, but the characters too. I feel like there was more emotion in Soul Society, far less I felt personally in Hueco Mundo, although it's complex,
probably it's intentional, because they are a wrong car, and it is kind of like what's the word, the strongest lives, that type of thing, and they didn't really care.
Survival of the fittest kind of thing, which I love. Someone else's line about like the law of the jungle later on in this arc.
Yeah, and with them again, there were a smaller cast to focus on.
Yes.
And obviously we got the flashbacks to like the Fullbringers like backstory, but it didn't feel it didn't feel like it was it didn't feel like it was like not enough.
Mhm.
It felt like it was just right because it was obviously intentional for them to be mysterious up until that point. So why would you need to know their backstory if they've already told you that their parents were killed, but that was a lie? So seeing like what they
But
really went through.
that was true. That
Well, yeah, but
that
like
was true. Other things were lies, but that part was true.
by Hollows,
Yes.
all of them. No,
I mean, for sure,
Not
we
the
learned
clock
that
guy.
Ginjo for sure,
Ginjo for sure.
and we don't.
Was he? Oh, I guess he was the only one that said it for them, maybe. Because
well,
the
they
girl,
all-
because there's what's her name?
Riruka.
No, Jackie.
Uh-huh.
Her family was killed by like thugs
but
and
that could have been her father. I think that they talked a lot about mothers, and that residual hollow energy was in their resided in their mothers, and that's why during birth or during their conception,
Okay.
they sort of were able to gather some of this power. So that part was true.
Yeah. But everything
but a
else,
lot of other things were a lie.
Yeah. So it was refreshing, and it was great to see that small backstory towards the end and not from the forefront because it just felt so much more earned.
And we're talking about reveals, and I can't really talk about it because the Aizen reveal has been something that sat with me for so many years, and it's something that I've known for so many years. I remember Soul Society so much more clearly than I remember this arc. So the reveal and the twist involving Ginjo felt like, in that moment, such a more surprising reveal. I can't really say that it is to me definitively because, again, like, I've just known about the Aizen thing for forever, so maybe I've just sort of...
It's more fresh.
Yeah, it's not as... Yeah.
But for me, I mean...
how was it for you?
He does look villainous. I mean, he does have a tad of villainous, but I just thought they were kind of like misfits, and they all kind of looked that way. They all looked badass, and that's just how Kubo draws characters. I mean, you could have the nicest character in the world, and they just look like Chad. I mean, he looks freaking like a 40-year-old man in this arc.
Chad looks so fucking sick, dude. And we're talking about lines of dialogue, the pride... that speech that he
was
delivered
great.
to Ichigo was some of the most moving pieces of dialogue that I have read. And it was, I mean, to hear it come from Chad too, wow. I mean, I was really floored by a lot of what I was reading. But you talked about the smaller group, and I think that's where, in hindsight, Hueco Mundo, for me personally, kind of suffered because there was just so many characters, and I didn't really have much to latch onto. By design, of course. Of course it was by design, and I understand what Kubo was, the story he was trying to tell, the themes he was trying to get across. And I know that was important. It was important for the characters to not have much to latch onto, to drive that sort of theme and point home.
Yeah.
But for me as a reader, I mean, I realize like how much I need that, I guess. And
for sure. And people call it like the less shonen-y version of Bleach, this arc. But it had just a great mix. And for me personally, it had everything that I love in reading manga or just any medium, just like that mixture of heart. And it was almost like a thriller. Like it was so much fun to read. I was floored. I was like, this is amazing. Like it really just reinvigorated like how much I do love this series so much. And it just blew me away. I was like,
too.
Kubo, you son of
and
a
I do
bee.
feel like there are so many things that because again, obviously, soft reboot might be a better word or phrase for it, but it is clear that he has just taken everything that he's learned over the course of all of these arcs and just gone into this arc with his literal best foot fucking forward.
Bro, his art.
Yeah. There's no mangaka. Art is subjective. Art is different. Urasawa has a realistic type of art. Fujimoto, a more sketchy. Miura, they all have beautiful art styles, but like Kubo's is just, to me, still on this, it's the upper echelon. It's on a completely, you can't even classify it or categorize it in like the same category that you categorize all these other artists. Like it's so different, but it's
beautiful.
So amazing.
It's so beautiful.
Even the anime struggles to adapt it.
Fucking struggles.
Other human beings can't even imitate it, emulate it, mimic it. They struggle. They put Rukia's eyes, so she was all cross-eyed.
I immediately it was everything. It was the shift in tone. I don't think I was underwhelmed or oh damn, we're not gonna I was satisfied that we weren't going to be going to a place like Huecamundo, a place like Soul Society. I was
all happened in the world of the living,
and I love that. And because it was focusing on human characters, much like Ichigo, again, Orihime, Chad, Uryu. I mean, Uryu is definitely not. I mean, he is a human, but he is.
He's a human, but he comes from a long line of Quincy's, and I like how these Fullbringers also expanded. Yes, everything you said. It takes place in the world of the living. It humanizes. It brings human characters, human antagonists into the mix, but it also expands on the lore and the world of Bleach. Which I love.
Give me more.
Give me more.
I'm hungry.
Even farther and explaining that technically Orihime and Chad are also Fullbringers.
And it makes so much sense.
Yeah.
I mean, we have Orihime's pin. And we have Chad's skin.
Dude, that's so sick.
The complex characters that I feel for, and I felt that way with the Vizards, and I don't know if it was because they were in the land of the living for a little bit and they were trying to training and doing that stuff, but again, they weren't human. To have human characters, and I'm not one to be I have to relate to all the characters or I won't like it, or I won't see myself in these characters because, we read stuff that I can never see myself in their shoes at all. But this just, again, humanized Bleach, and it just made me focus more on Ichigo, then the Soul Society, then the captains, then everything else that's going on, because he lives in two worlds, so why not focus more on make it balanced, I guess. It just didn't feel balanced for a long time. I mean, seeing his family and his relationship with his sisters and what that means to him, and even his friends too. I mean, him just being I want to basketball and I'm going to go to soccer club. I have a part-time job. All of them have part-time jobs. It just felt so, it was just such a refreshing thing to see oh yeah, these are actual human characters. Ichigo is a human boy.
But all of his despair, everything, all the pressure, the burden, the weight, everything that he was feeling and dealing with, I felt. There were so many other times with the Ulquiorra fight and so many other times with the Grimjaw fight where I understand what Ichigo is feeling and why he's feeling it, but this was the first time I felt it too. I felt it myself. Which is a feat, man. And a
lot of the all of them. Again, Chad, Orihime, I would say that they shined more in this arc than, they've had really badass moments, but just the small lines of dialogue, even with Orihime, and we talked about it too, just her kind of getting past people, just walking all over her because they think she's dumb or naive, and she's just this is me now. I'm going to stand up for what I want to do. So badass. Yeah. And she's not just in the corner yelling Ichigo anymore.
Yes.
That's what's important, and I needed that from her character. Yes. Because we've seen that from Rukia. Rukia can do shit. Rukia steps up. Rukia's coming to her own. And Orihime, I just needed that from Orihime more. And I saw this, and I was so satisfied. And it just felt so earned.
Yep.
And
because you talk about balance, Mehgan, and it was back to balancing, yes, everything that we talked about so far, but if we want to dial it in and zoom in and look at Orihime, it was this balance between getting to see the Orihime from her first introduction to also seeing a grown, stronger, more confident and competent Orihime. But it was the balance of both. In Huecamundo, I understand she didn't really have time to be that version.
She couldn't really be
Orihime. I get that. But that's why I like this arc so much more, because we got to see that nervous schoolgirl, high school girl energy, this wacky energy that Orihime had. I felt like we hadn't seen that side of her in so long. Here we get to see that, but we also get to see that badass side of her too, and the side of her that has grown.
And it wasn't one person getting stolen and having Ichigo try to get that one person and save them. It was everyone he knew was under this full spell, and he didn't have any control. And that's what it was. He just felt again, he didn't have control as it is because he lost his powers, and he just felt okay, well, I'm going to do whatever I'm going to do. Everyone's going to do whatever they do. And I don't have any control in what they do now. I don't even, I can't even see Rukia anymore because that's severed. And he just felt so lost and confused. And everyone knew what he was feeling, but obviously Ichigo doesn't show his feelings all that well. But this was just the icing on the cake of this, this confusion. And that's what I loved about the main antagonist, because he was that person that like Ichigo trusted the most, because like obviously Aizen didn't fucking trust Aizen from day one because everything that happened. And this was the one that he was like, okay, this fool is really helping me out and being a friend to me. And then he was completely like blindsided. I don't think he's ever been blindsided like that before, ever. So this was just like, I mean, seeing him cry and break down just from the pure like, oh my God, like I did all that for nothing. Like now I have nothing to show for it. And now it's the ramifications are so huge. He's broken. And we never seen that from Ichigo. Because he always gets
hit it on the head, Mehgan. When the Aizen reveal happened, sure, to the people in Soul Society and maybe even to us, the readers.
Some of them.
Yeah, right? I mean, yeah. Yeah, exactly. But to us, the readers, and even Ichigo and the gang, they hadn't been there long enough for that reveal to really affect them or impact them or matter to them at all. But here, the reveal with Ginjo was so more impactful.
Personal as fuck.
Because it was personal, because Ichigo had, whether out of desperation or trust, had trusted him and had really, really relied on him.
I mean, he put all of his eggs in the basket. He's like, if this doesn't work, then I don't know what I'm going to do.
And you understand why. And so when the change happens, it's shocking to you, but also shocking to Ichigo.
Yeah.
Aizen is like, okay, I guess it was an evil guy here the whole time. All right.
Exactly.
Haven't been here long enough to really, know if he has a history of being weird or not. But with Ginjo, it was so different. You nailed that, man. That's exactly what it was. But also to see him have to fight the people that he struggled so hard to get his powers back for, and to see them get stronger to not be a burden on him, which is something they've said before.
I mean, yeah.
But to see them have to fight each other.
Chad was like, I didn't get strong to fight you.
Yeah.
And them just like having that memory wipe, or like completely like not memory wipe, but this guy implementing himself into their lives. It was like, you know what? He saved us from Aizen. He saved us from Rukia. It was like completely discrediting like everything Ichigo's done for these people. And he's like, if I haven't done anything for those people, then what have I done?
Yeah.
And you just felt that like turmoil within him. Like, so it was so well done. And I needed this. I needed this.
And like, I don't know. I understand like that people enjoy the Arrancar forms, and even when
they're
Ichigo
badass.
They're aesthetically badass, but I know that people prefer that over other types of battles, I guess. And I loved seeing certain transformations. I mean, it's exciting. It's exciting to see it aesthetically. It is it is cool to see. But I loved that the Fullbringers did not have like these ultimate final forms. I mean, Ginjo kind of, but not really. I mean, he got one sort of, transformation, and that was kind of it. Everybody else got a little upgrade, but that was kind of it. It wasn't like, now here's my final form. Now here's my Bankai. Now here's my, awakening of, here's my awakened form, or here's this form. It was just like, we got a little upgrade, and that's pretty much it. And the creativity, the Arrancar, I feel like, their abilities, again, are cool, but I just think the Fullbringer's abilities are so much cooler because they're so much more interesting, and they're so much
personal,
more fun and personal.
That's
to
what
them.
It is, personal to them, and like what they've dealt with in their lives
too.
And,
like, damn.
I mean, yeah, like freaking what's his name? Oh my God, Ginjo.
Yeah,
Ginjo's freaking like. What's his name? Fucking, what's his name? Magneto.
Yeah, you said this before
Magneto.
We started recording, and I want you to go off because when you said it, I was like, that's exactly what it feels like.
He kind of reminded me of just like bringing all these misfit like mutants together.
Yeah.
Because they are kind of like mutants in a way when they're talking about obviously like, being outnumbered by society and being outnumbered by normal people. Why do we have to act like normal people? It's kind of like the debate between mutants and, people. It's like, okay, well, we don't have to listen to you because I'm stronger than you are. I could like mess you up right now. So why am I even bothering trying to get along with you, because you're just going to treat me like a freak anyway, or you're just going to treat me differently anyway, or we're not going to see eye to eye. And he kind of said like, we have to, stay in a pack and be together so we can show these people that like we're not to be fucked around with. And it was just because all of them, have those personal connections, and all of them are kind of misfits one way or another, and they're just like lost, and they're following this man who they think is doing the right thing, and because he's like them.
Yeah.
Like no one else is like them, so why would they follow anyone else? Like, so it was just, it was great.
You said that, and I completely, it completely clicked for me. That it is a Magneto X-Men sort of feeling with these characters, but it's again just so creatively different. The concepts, the powers, the contract with God, the God of Time. The Dollhouse, the Yukio, the guy who can trap someone in a video game dimension. Like, I mean,
the boots.
What? I was like, what? I don't remember the boots, like the dirty boots. I was like, I literally was like in awe, jaw fucking dropped the whole time. I was gagunked the whole time I was reading this shit. Like, and I just, again, I know people have their preference. You're entitled to your own opinion. If you love Wakamundo, if you love Soul Society, if you love this, if you love that, your opinion about what you like is not wrong. For me personally, this shit was peak Bleach, and I wish there would have been more of this throughout.
Yeah, it's peak Bleach for me. It's just everything I love in what this series is. I'm obsessed. I'm obsessed.
Obsessed. But yeah, I just want to make sure I got all my points across because again, I had so many things written down that I wanted to make sure to mention, and there's still so many other things that we haven't even touched on yet. And so many things that we're gonna go through now beat by beat. And just in case or just for coverage, just to say it, this is also called the Lost Substitute Shinigami arc, aka the Fullbringer arc.
We were like, why is everyone calling it Fullbring or Fullbringer? I was like, is that real? But obviously it makes sense because that's what they are.
And this episode is going to be covering that arc in its entirety, which are chapters 424 through 479. The only arc left after this is the 1,000-Year Blood War arc. And I've heard some mixed things about it.
I know, me too. And for being, 55? What is that? 50?
I think we're around... this arc ends, I think, on volume 54.
54? Like...
Yeah.
It's... the time I read... Again, volumes 49 through 54. It was a large chunk.
It was a big chunk.
Of chapters, but I was enthralled.
There was no lull.
No.
Zero.
No.
Zero lull.
No. It was great.
The twists, the turns, I didn't see any of them coming. The only thing I thought was a little weird is that they wanted to give up their powers, but I also understood that they were disgusted by them because they came from hollows, the same hollows that, attacked their parents. I understood it, but I just still didn't buy it, I guess. But that was the only thing. Everything else, I was like, good guns.
And, the other reveal of the badge.
The badge.
Yeah, I was like, I figured that anyway, and it wasn't that big of a surprise to me because, again, I just kind of put it in my brain, okay, obviously this is a 16-year-old child.
The reveal being that they were monitoring and controlling his spirit pressure.
Yes.
Right.
And that makes so much sense because he could easily be a dumbass kid and try to flaunt it or try to hurt people or try to be villainous in any way. Of course they're going to put some restrictions at least. Yeah. And he even said, I kind of figured that.
Yeah, I kind of figured that.
Because everyone was freaking out. Everyone was like, you're going to find out the truth and what's going to happen then.
Yeah.
And I was like, it's understandable to do that to a child.
A 17-year-old boy.
Yeah, exactly. So that wasn't too big of a reveal. Everything else was great though. But that part I was kind of like,
but again, and I agree, but just what it leads to and just leading to the change of Soul Society over, they've existed and operated this way over thousands of years. They've had these thousands of years that they've operated by these traditions. And for Ichigo to make them question or make them change how they do things, and then for Hitsugaya to deliver that line of dialogue that he did, accept it with honor. And I wrote down that quote in its entirety and so many other quotes, wow, dude. I got chills, man. And it was the first time I got chills. Everything else we've read and everything else we've talked about has been good, and we've enjoyed reading it and we've enjoyed talking about it. But this gave me goosebumps, man. This was a different emotional experience.
Yeah.
But yeah. So let's start breaking everything down, Mehgan. Let's start going through everything. So the arc does open mirroring moments and dialogue from the very first chapter. And we already talked about this, but Kubo himself did state that this was meant to be a reboot of sorts, right?
Yes. Yes. And it was so great because in the first chapter, we do see, hair, orange, eyes, brown, occupation, high school student. And then it leads to but I can also see ghosts. But it didn't even do any of that. It was just I can't see ghosts.
I can't see ghosts.
And I was
yeah.
I mean, it was really sad. And another moment too, we'll get there, but there's another moment that's mirrored in the beginnings of Bleach that I was like, wow, that's so awesome.
What moment? I mean, just fire it off. Go ahead.
When Rukia just gave him the powers back. I mean, she did the same thing when she gave him with a sword and everything.
Yes.
And it was great.
Yeah.
It was great.
It was great. It was so great. But then we cut to Yuzu showing Ichigo her new school uniform and Karin dealing with annoying ghosts. It's been 17 months since the battle. And it is crazy seeing everything else sort of happen because we see Ichigo in class just sitting at his desk. And we see... I'm a sucker for this type of storytelling device when we are aware of the world outside of the world we're being shown. And you see things kind of happening in the background. But it was so crazy seeing Uryu get up during the middle of class and running out to fight, eradicate, exterminate a hollow. And, Ichigo just kind of having to sit there. It was heartbreaking because, normally he'd be the first one up and out the door.
Yeah.
But now he just kind of has to sit there and watch all these things.
I mean, not even watch. He can't even see them.
No,
so,
but I mean, watch Uryu get up and go and know where he's going and know that he can't go and do anything about it.
Yeah.
And to sit in that for such a large part of the arc, because it wasn't, I just think that we were a little curious and we were a little skeptical about how Ichigo was going to get his powers back. We knew it was going to happen, but I just think that it's so beautifully done because it doesn't happen right away. You feel him have to not only work to get those powers back, but you feel again his despair, his struggle. I'm having such a hard time articulating it because my feelings about it are everywhere. I mean, normally you can when you see a main character get their powers taken away, you think immediately okay, they're gonna get him back. They're not gone forever. Wonder how he's gonna get him back. But there might not be any other way, any better way for it to have happened than this way.
Mm-hmm.
And I just like that you felt like he really did have to go through so much to get them back. He really did have to work so hard and be put through so much to get them back. They were not handed to him.
Yeah.
And I love that. But Ichigo just kind of sees while he's at school, he kind of finds in his bag his deputy Soul Reaper badge. Cuts to him on the roof talking to his friend, and he talks about how Rukia hasn't come around at all in the 17-month period. He talks about being happy and being normal, but the way everyone else looks at him says otherwise, dude. And going back, so we read it, and then the way I take notes is I go back. I don't take any notes while I read it, and then I go back and I kind of not reread. I skim it over again, but I go through everything again, and I take notes. What was interesting about doing that this time was that I really got to see because the first time I knew Ichigo wasn't happy.
Yeah.
Because I know Ichigo. We know Ichigo.
Yeah.
But when I went back and I prepared and took my notes, I realized how other people looked at him. And Kubo really does show you through other people's reactions, how sad he is and how bad they all feel for him. Even his friend on the roof, the way there's just a panel of him, and the way Kubo can show that is it's devastating, man. They're all looking at him and they just feel so helpless and they feel so bad because they know, and that's also told to us too, that they know all the events of everything that has happened. They were filled in.
Yeah.
Of course, believe everything. Even Ichigo's and of course they believe it,
Well, yeah, of course they believe it because they saw firsthand.
Right, exactly. They ran into Aizen.
Yeah, literally the big bad, the biggest bad ever.
But Ichigo stops a thug and talks about how he still has his combat reflexes, even though he doesn't have his Soul Reaper powers.
That makes sense.
That does make sense.
Yeah, I mean, he trained a shit ton.
Yeah. And that we see that the owner, because he's, stopping someone from stealing someone's bag, the owner of that bag we see that person tuck a Deputy Soul Reaper badge back inside. We'll find out later that that's Ginjo, but in the moment, it was I was very intrigued. I don't remember this shit at all, dude. I was reading and I was like, I don't remember this. Like, it's crazy. Ichigo, we cut to him, like you were talking about, bargaining with the sports teams of his school because he is so badass and so powerful. Everybody wants him to be on their team. He's a guaranteed, like, he's a trump card. He's a guaranteed win if you got him on your team. So he's kind of like, I love how he's kind of just like letting everybody sort of
fight over him.
Fight over how, and he's just going to see how high they're willing to pay to like have him on their team. He gets in trouble with his boss. We see him calling her over the phone. We haven't met her yet. He's calling her over the phone, telling her that he's not going to go into work. And that's when these thugs show up to get revenge because the guy he punched earlier was part of their gang. And they're there to get revenge. Ishida jumps into the fight. And I just want to say and stop here. Like, did you notice the chapter? I wouldn't call it a cover page.
Oh, yeah.
But, yeah.
That was amazing. It was 426.
Holy fucky shooty bitchy, dude.
Yeah, that was... I loved all of these chapter cover pages. They flowed so well, and they were so great.
They were incredible.
So creative.
Like you said, they blended so well with what was happening at the time. And it was just so visually, like, stunning to see. And just for him to play with these styles, like, it's literally Ishida and Ichigo punching this guy, and you see like half of the word Bleach on one arm and the rest on the other arm, and then he's kicked back with his teeth flying, and on all his teeth is like 420. What was it?
426.
26. Like, I was stunned.
Yeah,
dude.
I was like, this is lit.
This is lit. They all, both of them rough up these guys pretty easily, but Ichigo's boss shows up to finish the fight and kidnap Ichigo. Miss Ikumi Unagaya.
I love her.
She's awesome.
I mean, we didn't get a lot of her, and it was just like another cool character to introduce. Like, she doesn't have to have these crazy abilities. She doesn't have to have a power-up. I mean, she is just a human person, and that's what I appreciated, because it was like, you were like, what? She was done. The introducer did nothing with her character, and I'm like, I mean, it was a funny bit. Like, it was.
She was a great character. I can see why people might feel that way, but she was there because she was a person that was removed from everything. But
yet she still understood, like, something was up with Ichigo. I mean, like, when she puts his head on her shoulder, and she's like, you don't have to say anything, like, because, like, to a regular person, like, this kid is like dealing with things and you have no idea what they are, but you're just trying to be there for someone. And like, she has a kid, and she was just like a motherly figure to Ichigo, which I really liked. And I was like, oh, it's so nice.
It was, I think that, she served her purpose, and I wouldn't want to read this arc without her in it. I thought she was a pleasant and a welcomed addition to this world and cast of characters. Dude, I loved her so much. And she's the owner of this like odd jobs business. She's so funny too, even when she changes to like greet her son. That was so funny.
Yeah, and the kid is like obviously, old enough to talk smack to Ichigo, so I don't think he would be like astonished that his mom is this way.
Right,
so her switching characters is even more funny, because the kid would be like, yeah, I mean, I don't care. Like, you're my mom, but she puts on this front like she's like the best mom ever, coddling him and stuff. It's so funny.
Yeah, it was such a funny joke. And again, the
humor, like,
character. Yeah. The humor was hitting.
It was hitting. It was great.
A client walks in, Kujo Ginjo. Doesn't reveal his name yet, but he arrives and asks Ichigo how much he really knows about his father and about Urahara, which is interesting because up
He's
until
like,
this
who are
point, Ishin, Ichigo's dad, hasn't really, and there was that really cool moment of dialogue between the two of them, but Ishin hasn't really explained himself to Ichigo and Ichigo does trust his dad, and that's where that line comes into play, where he says, like, you obviously didn't tell me for a reason. You'll tell me when it's important or when you're ready. And that was a really powerful moment, an important moment for Ichigo and between him and his dad. But Urahara too, he's starting to question, like, I don't really know anything about him. I know that he's a Soul Reaper apparently in some capacity, and Urahara, I don't really know a whole lot about him.
Yeah.
But we also get to see while he's telling him this, it cuts to like Karin visiting Urahara's shop. So I think this is another way to really drive home how everybody else around Ichigo is so worried about him. He's the one who's so used to having to worry about everybody else, but everybody else is trying to repay that and trying to like pick up the pieces that he can't hold anymore. And she's not going because, Ichigo says at a certain point, I think it might have been earlier, like, oh yeah, Karin's probably fine. She doesn't come to me for help at all, but she's going to Urahara to get all these things because she doesn't want to ask. She doesn't want to remind Ichigo
of what he literally is like left out of now.
Yeah.
Like this whole world that he's been in for so long, he's just completely removed from it.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Riruka and I'm going to probably say this name wrong. Kutsuzawa. Maybe not that bad.
Yeah, that was good.
They're outside waiting when Ginjo comes back out. And we kind of saw the boss kind of step up a little bit and say like, all right, well, we'll think about taking the job because it was starting to fuck with Ichigo. And I think, again, why she's so cool, she could see that. It was starting to bother him.
Yeah.
She's like, all right, that's enough. We're closed. Go. We'll think about it, And she kind of like pushed him out, which was so cool. But that's when Karin talks about Ichigo's burden and now it's her time to protect her brother. And when Ichigo arrives home, this was a moment that really got me. And I could be misinterpreting it, but tell me how you felt about it. When Ichigo arrives home and Yuzu shows him her test, right? He greets her, he hugs her, he pulls her in, right? This is after he's sort of been like, he's met this character who's kind of aware of
what's going on.
He's piqued Ichigo's interest. And Ichigo comes home and he kind of grabs her and he pulls her close and he's like smiling. This throws her off. This throws Yuzu off. If you go back and look at her, she's kind of like, Ichigo's smiling and Ichigo's happy and she's kind of like freaked out by that. And I just think that it's almost like his happiness like gives him away, right?
Yeah.
Like she's so used to seeing him sad and just bummed and so detached. This is how sad it is. That when he's happy, she knows something's wrong.
Yeah.
And I just thought, wow, that is so nuanced that I really like it really affected me more than almost Karin saying like, I got to step up for my brother.
Well, yeah, no, yeah, and it was because, it gave it away because we saw a direct reflection of that in the beginning when she's like, I waited to show you my school uniform and you don't even give a shit. I'm going to give you the fucking burnt piece of the breakfast.
Yes.
And he's just like, okay, I didn't really care. But then she like shows him the grades and like, knowing Ichigo, like grades aren't something that he's like really driven to do or like really like, I mean, he said he's above average, which is like cool, but he's just not like, oh yeah, you got to get good grades, blah, blah. So that him saying like congratulating her about that was just, I mean, she was looking for like something, but maybe
when
she was
got
looking.
It,
yeah. Maybe
because I think that was her also just like kind of like trying to just like keep him included or keep him
whole time she was doing that. The whole time she's been trying to like
cheer him up
and like have him included and take his mind off of everything because he's just in his room alone just contemplating everything.
But that's just such a that's just a telling like sort of an interaction between the two of them because again like she didn't respond like, oh wow, like he's
back.
Karin, he's feeling better. She was like, fuck.
Yeah.
What happened?
Yeah, and then he's like, okay, you guys get to bed.
Yeah.
And he just goes up the stairs and they're like, okay.
Yeah. Orihime visits Ichigo, brings him some bread. She's a little suspicious about what might be going on too. Because she
feels something. She knows something's up.
And Uryu is outside and he sees that Orihime's there and he's like, all right, Orihime will probably get it out of him. And if she can't get it out of him.
And I like that too.
Yeah.
Because it's just like the line, the line of defense. The chain of, the chain. He's like, okay, well, he'll probably say something to her, but if he doesn't, then I'll have to, step in. And it just makes everything feel so much more real.
Yeah.
It was great.
But while Uryu's outside, he sees someone walking on the rooftop.
That's not normal.
That's not normal. Goes after them. They're fast. That's not normal.
But he's like, I don't sense anything from them. They're not I don't think they're a soul reaper, hollow. I don't know what's going on with this guy. walking and
Yeah,
floating.
and so whoever they are, so much faster than he is, and he ultimately got the jump. Someone got the jump on him and ends up pretty severely injuring him. It looked like in that panel that his arm was cut completely off.
Yeah.
Then we cut to like Ichigo and Orihime visiting Uryu in the hospital, talking to his father. Again, I like how this world is now feeling more, it's feeling bigger. It's feeling more lived in. Like I love how we get to see Uryu's dad be his doctor and then him get to talk to Orihime secretly, separate from Ichigo about everything that's going on. But Uryu's dad tells Orihime that he knows what he knows of the attack and that they appear to be human close to what Chad and her are. And that might mean that they might be next. Already, I'm hooked.
Yeah, what's going on?
He was given a card. Ichigo was given a card by Ginjo, and he calls the number on this card, which is the card for the organization Execution. Love it. And then we come back to Orihime, who is worried about Chad, who seems to be missing.
And I loved this moment so much. It's so funny because obviously she was kind of nervous, like being in Ichigo's room. And he's like, I mean, you've been here before. I don't know why you're so nervous now.
That was hilarious.
And she's like looking, she has a shirt on, says, you idiot. And she's looking in the mirror and she's like, oh my gosh, like, I didn't expect to go in his room, but how could I say no when he looked like that? And he has like a suit and tie, and he's like, get in here, and she's like blushing and rolling around. So hilarious, so funny.
And it's a side of her we haven't seen in forever.
Yeah,
I was so happy to see her be this way again, and I get it because she kind of can now, and she couldn't before, but still, like, I'm just so happy to have that side of her back. Ichigo arrives at Execution headquarters, and they tell him their goal, which is getting him back his Soul Reaper powers. And we learn about the Fullbringers, and they are humans born with special abilities, right? And he shows them this sort of like trick with the liquid, and he talks about how their powers allow them to draw the soul out of innate objects and put them to their use. They could change the form of a tool compatible with them that they've mastered, and they can change its form. And he kind of shows him that by changing his necklace into his sword.
Sick.
So fucking sick, dude. Again, the concept, and again, just that inanimate objects like have souls or have, this energy. And he talks about that too, like why certain people, when they use tools, and it shows like a baseball bat or a basketball or something, why they feel a connection to it, an attachment to it, which that is me to the fullest, by the way. I am somebody who I really do personify inanimate objects and do feel like very connected to them. I'm not saying that this concept is real or not. Might be.
What inanimate objects?
I mean, just like items. Like I get really attached to them, and I feel like, I don't know. I feel like they have a person. I feel like they have a soul. Like manga, certain manga. Don't be like that, dude. Come on. I'm trying to say something sweet and nice. You over here talking about what objects? What objects could I be talking about? You think I have? What kind of objects do you think I have? First of all, what kind of objects are you trying to make it seem like I have? List off an object in your mind you were thinking
manga?
Right. Like what kind of manga? Yeah. I know what you're trying to do. You're trying to set me up. Trying to make me look like a pervert.
I don't have to do that.
I mean, we're all perverted. I mean, it's just to varying degrees. And that's a fact.
Right.
Anyway, the ability is called Fullbring. All right. And they said that all their parents were attacked by hollows before they were born. The power is closer to a hollows. And the remnants of that hollow's power is left residing in their mother. But because it comes from a hollow, they are disgusted by it, which I understand, but I didn't buy completely. Riruka arrives. Love Riruka.
Oh my God.
Love Riruka.
Like, she might be best girl.
Whoa!
She might be best girl on Bleach. And I know that's kind of a leap, but I'm a sucker for just tsunderes in general. Like, I love Soifan. I love Rukia.
Yeah.
I love her. Like, I love her ability. I love her backstory and how, like, like kind of fucked up it was.
You like how cute she is.
Love how cute she is.
Love that she likes cute things.
Yeah. I mean, she's just everything to me.
She's up there too, man. I mean,
she
she's another great character like that. And you
Yeah.
said this off Mike too. But you're like, when it comes to new characters and character design, you said Kubo doesn't miss.
Ever.
And he doesn't.
Never.
He hasn't missed once.
Literally never.
Yeah.
You won't catch him.
You won't
ever.
catch him missing.
No.
Hell no. But Riruka arrives with Chad. Uh-oh.
And Chad's like a fucking 40 years old. This motherfucker already looked 25. And they made this fool look so much older, so much more mature. And
he's a growing boy.
He's a grown. Is he gonna grow more? Damn.
Maybe he's capped out. Maybe he just had a growth spurt. Okay, maybe he's just one of those people that gets to his full age at or his full size, and once he's a senior in high school, and then he just stops growing.
Yeah.
And everybody else just has to catch up.
Mm-hmm.
But they say they want to remove their powers and can only do so by bestowing them upon someone who is both Soul Reaper and human. This is all gonna matter and be very significant later. And they also mentioned that there was someone before Ichigo. Chad delivers this line to Ichigo, and it's so powerful. And again, growth and emotion, the big things that I felt in this arc. Chad's line to Ichigo is, you may think you're hiding it, but I couldn't stand watching you since you lost your powers. Like, I can't stand it. And he didn't say it like that, like I can't stand it, but he's like, it hurts me so much.
I was like, damn. And she goes like, you guys can tell?
Yeah, he's like, what? I thought I was hiding it pretty well.
What?
Yeah.
Huh?
But that line hit me, man. It hit me. I felt it in my chest.
Yeah. Damn.
Riruka, the whole time, she's talking about how dark it is in there. And she asked them if they could turn the lights on. They turn the lights on. She's like, damn, Ichigo, fine as hell.
Yeah, she turns on like a flashlight. There's a spotlight on him. And she's just like, oh my God, he's so cute. And he's like, are you okay? She's like, no, I'm not okay.
Yeah.
I'm not fucking okay right now.
Yeah,
so hilarious.
Again, we talk about concepts and we talk about these new abilities and these new powers. They just keep getting cooler and cooler. This is the part where we get to Ichigo's Dollhouse training and learn that Riruka has the ability to draw out the maximum power of something she loves. The only word to describe it is just fun. I haven't had this much fun. I've been hype. I've been, fucking excited, but I haven't had so much fun reading Bleach in a long time. And this Dollhouse ability that she's able to, and even the way Ichigo kind of gets sucked in, I was like, what am I reading right now? This isn't even Bleach anymore, but I love it.
Yeah.
But he's in there fighting this plushie that has not even just the soul, but and I think because of how we see it when it happens to Rukia later, but there's literally a person and their soul stuck inside of this pig plushie that Ichigo has to fight. And there's a timer put on it, and that timer, when that timer goes up, this pig plushie sort of starts to transform, and they throw him in there the same way Ichigo gets thrown into everything, just like what the Visors did with his holification. Like, he just kind of gets thrown in, and he's like, figure it out.
Yeah.
But when the timer is up and this pig plushie transforms, we learn about Giriko's contract, right? And the punishment of nullifying that contract, which if breached, then they will be burnt to a crisp by the flames of time, because this is a contract made with the god of time.
Yeah, and everyone's like, someone's like, I don't know about that. And she's like, no, yeah, it's true.
I've seen it happen many times.
Yeah, I've seen it happen many times. I was like,
and we find out later that's how this fool lost his fucking eye.
Yeah, amongst other things.
Yeah. Again, there hasn't been anything that has gotten me this excited and has been this cool. I had a smile on my face the whole time. But his ability is called Time Tells No Lies, and he's making tea, dude. This is a moment of dialogue that I wrote down. He's making tea, and the kettle goes off, and he takes it off at just the right second when the water's just the right temperature, making the perfect tea. And he said, God dwells in exact time. And I just think that's a beautiful, I mean, you talk about live, laugh, love, getting that on a freaking plaque, dude. I'll give God dwells in exact time, because what a powerful line with such a simple sentence with so much meaning packed in that line. God dwells in exact time. I love it. It might be my new fucking slogan, dude. I mean, it's beautiful.
Yeah, it was great.
I mean, the layers and the levels of that.
I mean, all the dialogue choices are just so badass and so meaningful and so impactful, and it's just amazing.
And we're getting to another one, probably my favorite one. Well, it's hard to even say my favorite because all of them are my favorite. But Chad's speech about pride. Ichigo's running around in the dollhouse now with this transformed pig plushie, trying to draw out his Fullbringer power. He sort of started to catch on that it might come from his Deputy Soul Reaper badge. Chad kind of walks in and tells Ichigo that that's what he should go for. And he's like, that's just what I was thinking.
He's like, if I was you, I would do that.
Yeah.
And he's like, yeah, okay.
He's like, I was already thinking that, but thanks. And he said, like, it has to do with pride. And I think Chad was speaking from his own personal experience, but he said it has to do with pride. For me, it came from pride. My Fullbringer is the skin on my arms, having this blood in me, being of this line and this lineage, and living in Japan. I felt, and was constantly faced with like prejudice and it was
with the skin and body. Like I had to go through some tough times. I was like,
but I never wasn't proud of my skin. And I was like, woo, damn, son. I mean, it just hit me fucking hard. I mean, this is like a poetry. This is just like peak Bleach. This is peak Bleach. This is peak writing, dude. And he, talks about how his grandfather, and it shows his grandfather kind of holding him by the arms and just telling him about, his power and how he should use it. And, he tells Ichigo, remember a time when you were proud of your Soul Reaper powers. And Ichigo's flashing back to everything that has happened. And he says, I can't remember a time when I wasn't.
Ooh.
And I was like, oh, damn. It gets better and better and better, dude. Yeah, I was like, is the air on in here? I'm freaking chilly right now.
I'm chilled out.
I'm chilled out right now. I was freaking rolling back. I was rolling back. My phone drool coming out of my mouth.
Yeah, I saw it.
I read like that sometimes.
Yeah,
I do. It's a fact. But yeah, then Ichigo finally starts to catch on, and we get the Manji break, and Zangetsu's guard appears. And we learn that just like battles are carved into your soul, they are also carved into the soul of your tool. That's why it resembles Zangetsu's guard. Ichigo feels the sensation of Getsuga Tensho and defeats that pig plushie.
He doesn't die though. He's just he gets back to his own.
Super funny moment when he's trying to negotiate with Riruka later too.
Because she's like, I'll just turn you back.
Yeah.
He's like, no.
Because she's like, I'll call you next time I need you. And he's like, you can't just do that to people. But then he's like, maybe we can work out a price or something like that.
Yeah,
and then
I'll do it for a price. Yeah.
But also the way she turns them back to is by sneezing on them, which was pretty funny too. Ichigo then, because he's unlocked the power in his Soul Reaper badge, the Fullbringer power, he starts to hear words. He starts to hear people talking. And specifically it's Rukia's voice. And he hears, it say it's missing, and Ichigo wouldn't. But then he stops being able to hear it. Then we meet the character that we believe is
the
big bad of this entire arc. And it starts when we meet another character, Shishigawara, who is this like young thug looking delinquent kid who confronts Orihime, saying that, he delivers a little cheesy line, like you got time to die or something like that.
Yeah.
It was a little cheesy, but I liked it. And has been sent there to like take her out, but he can't because
I was like,
of how
here
hot
we
she
go
is.
again. Orihime gets kidnapped again. I was like, are you kidding me? No. It's been so good so far. Do not do this to me right now.
I do like though how he couldn't do it because she was hot, which we've seen things like that before. But
in real life.
Well, yeah. But how he was like, it looked like he was physically getting beat up every time he looked at her. His like head was going flying.
Yeah.
And Ichigo, slip. Orihime's fine as hell. Ichigo too. Fuck it. And me and Riruka got that in common.
Ichigo, he said, you know what? Fuck it. Ichigo
Yeah.
too. Fuck it.
Ichigo too. But when he tries to like bait her and tell her, he kind of insinuates that he was the one that hurt Uryu, and Orihime gets serious about that.
She goes, "You were," and he's like, "Oh shit!" Her whole fucking
face
demeanor changed. She's scary now.
She's scary. She ain't hot no more.
Yeah, he kind of like
she's
throws it
ugly,
out the
as a
way.
matter of fact.
Yeah. He's like negging her.
But this is when Tsukishima appears and uses his Fullbring, Book of the End. Even the names, dude. Kubo, chill the fuck out. Kubo, I'm gonna call you up and say, if I was your friend when you were writing this and you were sending me the drafts, I'm like, Kubo, you need to chill the fuck out, dude. I don't know if people can handle this. People are gonna be reading this and gonna be shitting their pants, dude. You better put a disclaimer on.
You will
the cover.
shit your pants.
Yeah. That you can't read this in public because you might pass out.
And shit yourself.
Because of how fucking crazy this is. This is too good, and I'm afraid. I'm worried.
I'm afraid.
Yeah.
I'm scared.
That's what I would say.
For everyone's well-being, yeah.
Yeah, if I was Kubo's friend, I would tell him that. I would say that to him.
You got so excited at the thought of being Kubo's friend.
I did.
The joy on your face.
If I was Kubo's friend, I just hit my line, Kubo.
Hit my line, yeah.
But
Number one.
I mean, his Fullbring is a bookmark too, which is so awesome. So he just kind of pulls it out at this point. But we cut back to Chad. Chad, who is with Ichigo, notices that something's wrong with Orihime's spirit pressure. Orihime then is shown being stabbed through the chest by this blade. Oi, that's right, Mehgan. But it's fine. And
literally fine. No marks, no nothing.
Curiouser. And when Chad and Ichigo show up, for Ichigo's sake, Orihime lies. And
Straight
at
up.
first, it was a little... you know what?
I thought she was lying. I thought she was going to stay lying. And I was like, I was like, bro, what? And then no, she just gave him a little ring up and she's like, oh, something.
It was what I was about to say, because after the fact, I was mad at myself for even thinking of feeling that way. But at first I was like, Orihime, why are you lying? Like, that's so frustrating.
Mm-hmm.
But then to find out that she was lying because she didn't want to say it in front of Ichigo, because she knows that the moment Ichigo finds out that someone is like attacking his friends, especially Orihime, he's going to lose his fucking mind.
Yeah, as he does.
So
as he does.
Yeah. So she's like, in her head, she's like, I'll call Chad later. I'll talk to Chad about that later.
Yeah, I'll shoot him up later.
Yeah. And Chad realizes that in the moment. And after they leave, he's like, yeah, I mean, maybe I was wrong. Maybe I just misread the spirit
Your spirit energy, as one does.
Ichigo does not buy it and heads straight to execution. But before that, he goes to his boss to tell her that he's quitting. And she has an awesome line here, too, where she says, stop worrying about me.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm an adult. It's okay. Kids are allowed to rely on adults. She could tell that something is really bothering him. And I think she is because, again, she is removed from everything, and she is a human character. She is an emotional ground.
Yeah.
Sort of everything.
Exactly.
And she really puts things into perspective for everybody else.
Yeah, because Ichigo's really only talking to his peers. He rarely talks to his dad. He doesn't even know where he is half the time, So having another adult that's not a fucking soul reaper and not someone with fucking Fullbringer abilities is so important.
Yep. We learn of Tsukishima that he was their leader, the Fullbringer's leader at a certain point, and was the one to discover the transfer of powers, but changed his mind, killed the deputy soul reaper, or at least that's what we're led to believe, and disappeared. He tells Ichigo by going after his friends that he's trying to get his attention. Ichigo also sees his dad and Uruhara in an alley, kind of talking about something or about to talk about something, but then they kind of feel that they might be being watched. So they're like, let's go somewhere else.
Anything that's happening, I don't think he necessarily is suspicious. He's been fed kind of this stuff in the past couple chapters, but again, it's just he's not in that anymore. So them talking about anything really wouldn't be a big surprise to him, because they're not going to talk about it in front of him or involve him. They weren't doing that to begin with. He barely fucking found out his dad's a fucking soul reaper.
Yeah.
So he's just like, yeah,
he
not
doesn't
even
really
in it.
pursue them, but it is something that he does think about. After Ginjo told him all those things.
Well, yeah, Ginjo told him all those things, oh, your sister's going to some weird ass guy's shop.
Yeah, be careful. How much do you really know that guy?
I'd be at that shop every day.
I'd be at that shop every day.
Yeah.
every day, dude. Give me everything you got. And then maybe we'll look at some of the products you got after. Yeah. For real.
Grimjaw.
Oh, see, we're
Ginjo.
we're
They're
everywhere.
close.
I mean, they got
They're
too many
close.
zaddies in this series,
They're too
bro.
many. There's way too
Yeah.
many to count.
Yeah, you got confused
I did. I
by
was like,
all the zaddies. You're like, which one is
Grimjaw,
it? Yeah.
Ginjo.
Yeah.
Aizen.
Yeah.
I can name them all.
They're all fine as hell.
Yeah, they're too fine.
Yeah.
Too fine.
Ichigo then cuts back. We cut back to him at execution headquarters. Now he's training with Jackie, and we get to see Jackie in her dirty boots.
Jackie and her dirty boots.
Do you have a favorite Fullbringer? Would you say I mean, I guess you did say that it is Riruka.
Yeah, Riruka for sure. Jackie's a close second though. We didn't get a lot of time with her, but I really, really liked her fight with Renji. She was so fucking awesome. Her backstory was so awesome. Her even again, getting that information, you've always really hated your abilities. We kind of relied and we used them, but you just didn't like them. And she's like, yeah. So she kind of just felt free to me at the end. Throughout the whole process. And we'll get to there, but she's awesome. I think
all those fights were sick, but when we get there, I want to ask you what your favorite was, and maybe
it's different from character and ability.
Yeah.
Because I do like the video game.
That's what I was gonna say.
But I just don't like him.
Yeah, he is. But I do kind of feel for him a little bit, because I think that why do you not feel for him at all? I guess.
I mean, I guess his parents were assholes to him, or they just wanted a connection with him, and he didn't want to give that back, or they weren't reciprocating it. But at the he's shoving money in people's faces, and he's just a brat. And then he's like, oh yeah, I love when I drove my fucking parents to commit suicide. I was like,
yeah, I mean,
you fucking little bitch.
I think because he didn't really get to finish that sentence before Hitsugaya interrupted him. But I think because when we do get to learn about their backstories, he does talk about I loved my dad, and I knew that the word dad was for this person, but I felt like I didn't have to say that because it was a given. But when my parents saw that I wasn't talking, or that I wasn't he felt like they were disappointed in him, or that they thought that he was
odd,
just odd, or that he was weird, and they did. He said that they did lock him in a room, but that it was full of all kinds of nice things. But that he never really felt understood by them. He never really felt
detached, really.
Yeah, and he always maybe just felt like he wasn't enough because of who he was. He was just someone who was super introverted and didn't want to talk. And I guess he always felt like they, thought maybe a little less of him, maybe because of that. Even though they still loved him, I think that maybe he put that on them. Maybe that was his own sort of stuff that he was putting on them. But I just love the nuance and the complexity of even the relationship that he had.
I don't hate him, but he's definitely not my favorite. His ability sick is cool. Yeah.
But back to Jackie and her dirty boots. Such a cool ass fight. And we get a reveal during this fight, towards the end of this fight, that I just think, again, it goes back, it recontextualizes everything, it makes everything else make so much sense. It is an explanation for just something cool. To not be just cool, but to have a really interesting reason for it to be happening. On top of, again, like I said, explaining, this is also similar to the way that Orihime and Chad's abilities have now been explained as being these Fullbringer abilities. And it has to do with Ichigo and Ichigo's Fullbringer ability, I guess. But we cut to Chad asking Ginjo what Tsukishima's ability is, but he says he doesn't know. And Ichigo tricks Jackie. They're still training, and he uses uses the bringer light, which is a sign that he's beginning to master Fullbring because of his battle experiences. And he cuts back to, he's like, yeah, I might not be as powerful as you guys, but I've been in way more battles. And he flashes back to everybody that he's fought. He's like, I got battle experience. That shit don't go away. And Ichigo's Fullbring starts to go out of control.
This is so funny.
Dude, but I love,
Yeah, she was like, okay, stop. Like, you're it's too much. It's too dangerous. And it's like, Ichigo's just like, I've never not fought with distress within myself.
Yeah.
He's like, this is how I do things.
No, he literally says, this is how I do it.
Yeah.
Let's go.
I push myself to the ultimate limit.
Yeah, which is
And
crazy because that's what he does. But that's what everybody else does to him.
Yeah, and he pushes himself to the limit. And he's
It's
like,
what Unohana did. It's what Shinji did. It's what everybody does.
I've never not trained this way to push myself to the limit, so it's like literally hurting me and could hurt me. This is just what I do.
Because he has a human body now, and he's like, "This is how I do it." And he's like bleeding, or
because I mean it's hurting him, but he's just so fed up, and this is like he could taste it. He could feel that power back, and he's so desperate to get it back that he like doesn't give a fuck. Even in the fight that we see later, like he's just so desperate to get those powers back. Yeah, and he'll do anything right now. He'll do anything right now to get them.
It comes back to Chad talking about Fullbringer abilities, and they talk about how Fullbringer abilities don't change. In the case of Chad, the reason he was able to like unlock his other arm was because he wasn't able to draw out all of its abilities in its early stages, and all the other Fullbringers are like past that point. They've already had years and years and years to unlock everything. So Ginjo tells him it can't be that Tsukishima's ability has like changed or grown. Like it is what it is. Tsukishima shows up at the hideout, cutting
literally slices the
fish tank that they're in.
He's just like, yo.
And revealing Ichigo's new Soul Reaper fit, which is cool, dude. It looks like the Shinigami robes, but with this just like crazy energy. It looks tattered. It looks chaotic. It looks awesome. But we find out that Ichigo's Fullbring is a clad type Fullbring. The same was true for his Bankai. It wasn't just his sword that changed. Everybody else's sword changes when they achieve Bankai. But with Ichigo, it was his robes that changed too, because they were also a part of his Bankai. It was a Bankai that was worn.
Yeah, he's literally wearing his Bankai.
Yeah, and wearing his power is his true form, which is like it's just a cool thing. Like Ichigo getting all these different like outfits and stuff. It's just a cool thing. Didn't need to really be explained, but the fact that it was, and the fact that it is like known as like a clad type Fullbring is like. It's like you didn't even have to do that, but that's so awesome that you like took the time and made like a believable explanation for why this thing happens. Bonus points. That's a bonus points thing right there.
Bonus points.
The battle gets taken to the roof. Chad tries to keep Ichigo out of it by not revealing that Tsukishima was the man who cut.
This is so funny. He's he's talking like probably at like maximum volume, and he's just like. He's like, we can't let Ichigo know, and she goes, "Oh, so that's the guy." They're like, "Oh shit, when did you get there? When did you get?" Yeah, look around, bro. Yeah. Look around before you speak like that.
There's a lot of chaos. They were in a battle.
Do a little whisper, like something, like send a text message.
How crazy during a battle of Chad would be like, we gotta tell him. We can't tell him.
But Ichigo's right
there. Yeah. But Ichigo does say in that moment too, he's like, damn. That's when I think he really realizes like how. Like, everybody's not just covering things up to cover things up. Like, he really realizes, like, damn, like, I didn't know you guys were that concerned about me.
Yeah.
Like, again, like, it just,
because
I
what
really
could he do?
Feel it this time.
What could he do? Just drive himself fucking crazy?
Yeah.
And worrying about everyone? Like.
Yeah. Yeah. Ichigo goes apeshit. And Ginjo steps in. Yukio uses his invaders must die Fullbring to seal Ichigo, and for fear of being exposed to the public, they are able to escape.
Yeah, this fool literally went like, go to menu, save Ichigo.
And
he literally saved Ichigo.
And it's a saving. Dude,
you get
I love it. Yeah, no, yeah, it
works
awesome.
on multiple levels.
On multiple levels. Oh God, it was just like again, Kubo was like, I mean, the muses were. Like all surrounding him when he wrote this shit and drew this shit.
For sure.
But, or he may ask Uryu, she's at the hospital, about his attacker. Uryu's like, yeah, I don't really know much. I didn't have the luxury of getting to talk to my attacker like you did. So I don't really know much about him. And that's why I didn't say anything earlier, because like I felt like as the one who was attacked, and if it was just about me, I should at least know something. I didn't know jack shit. Chad then takes Orihime to Ichigo and into Yukio's Fullbring. His invaders must die Fullbring. And there's one of the funniest moments, dude. And we talked about this too, and we both knew exactly what we were talking about. There's a moment when it cuts to like both of them.
It's like the classic, like before, like, you know, the training begins. He's giving like, as a kid, did you ever wish you could be in a video game? And she goes like, I mean, he's like, but as a kid, you know, it's every kid's wish.
Yeah, the fact that Ichigo didn't say yes right away and Ginjo kept going.
And he's like, I mean, you keep pushing. Is that you want me to say yes?
He's like, well, I mean, I guess so. Yeah.
I guess.
And then he's like, and then he basically goes like, oh well, I never wanted to. And he's like, why did you make me say it?
He says it twice. He goes, why did you make me say it? And he keeps going on, and he's like, okay, then why did you make me say that? It was like embarrassing.
It was so funny. He's like, I mean, you were a kid. Come on, every kid wanted to be in a game. He's like, I guess, yeah.
It's so crazy. We're like, yeah, you know, like. Just like an embarrassing thing. Like as a kid, you know, you used to pick your nose or whatever. And like, you know, whatever.
As a kid, you used to piss the bed.
And he goes, yeah, I guess I did do that. Well, I never did that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I never did.
I mean, everyone does it.
That he kept pushing it.
Yeah.
Because Ichigo's like, and he's like, dude, I'm talking about as a kid, not as, obviously you don't piss the bed as an adult, dude. I'm talking about as a kid, you piss the bed. And he's like, dude, every kid pisses the bed. Just say it. It's okay. And he's like, I mean, I guess a couple times, yeah, I pissed the bed. And he's like, I never pissed the bed. It's just so funny, dude. That was just a highlight moment, dude. But the game is in a separate dimension, which is awesome. It has a life bar and health, and it's just, again, the creativity's on another level. And I'm just like, I found myself wishing that Kubo was allowing himself, and he was telling the story he wanted to tell. But I do feel like sometimes, you know, I've heard things, and the reason why I say this is I've heard things, and people have said that Kubo was under a lot of pressure. And it's also how Kubo answered an interview question recently. But people have said Kubo was under a lot of pressure when the Hueco Mundo arc was happening from the publishers and his editors telling him that they wanted him to extend the arc because it was selling well.
Mm-hmm.
And Kubo really didn't, that wasn't his plan, but felt like he had to do that to make them happy, and did that. So I guess, I mean, it just sometimes, that's why maybe, and I don't know if that part's true, but I do know this other thing is true. Kubo also said when people asked him about the arc after the one shot, after the 1,000-Year Blood War arc, if he was going to continue that, he finally answered it by saying like, look, I like drawing shit when I want to draw it. I like drawing shit when I'm not told to draw something, which is such a gangster answer. But it just makes me feel like sometimes that, and Kubo has talked about it a lot, but that he felt a lot of pressure, right? He felt a lot of pressure from fans, from editors, from, you know, the publisher to like do certain things. And I think once everybody else felt like he had a brand, I felt like he felt pressure to like stay on that brand. But seeing this felt like this is the point when he stopped really giving a fuck. And it like was to the benefit of the material and the final product. And so I find myself really wishing that Kubo allowed himself, if for whatever reason he wasn't, to allow himself to have more fun and just to push, the boundaries of what he was trying to do, because it feels like he was really doing that here.
Yeah.
And that's what this video game like moment just made me think of. But Riruka tries to fuck with Orihime when she shows up. And she says, all you're going to do is heal him so he can suffer over and over again. You're going to heal him, he's going to suffer. You're going to heal him, and he's going to suffer more and more every time. He's going to be able to suffer more because of you. And Orihime goes, you ever met a guy named Ulquiorra before? This shit ain't going to work on me, okay?
And she even says, like, yeah, that's the point. I mean, I've been doing this. That's what I'm here to do. And I'm going to be there for Ichigo. She's like, just so salty and so jealous.
Yeah, it's just so funny because I mean, she obviously doesn't say that, but I can't help but think it's because, she was dealing with old Kiora, who was just trying to like manipulate her and confuse her this entire time. And she had to deal with that and confront that. And so when somebody else tries to do it, she's like, nice try. I've been there, done that. Because she said, I came to terms with that shit a long time ago. No matter how devastating his injuries are, I'll heal them. And the panel, the perspective, I mean, it shows like confidence. Like she is not the same, like you said. She's not yelling Ichigo anymore. She's stronger. A stronger, like, her power is stronger, but she's also her heart is stronger.
Yeah.
And I feel that. And then it is cool when she comes into the game that they're like, oh, a healing item is here. Like, that's just another fun thing. Urahara and Isshin, they're kind of conspiring, secretly conspiring. A Soul Reaper kind of arrives, a mysterious Soul Reaper. We don't know who. They talk about, Urahara's telling Isshin to just, or telling that person to just place their spiritual pressure in here and it's done. And we don't know what's kind of going on right now.
They're saying like rob a son of his future and all this shit. I'm like,
huh?
Okay.
Yeah. Chad goes into his own room to train, and that's when it was revealed that he was stabbed on the roof too. And he's like, damn.
I knew this was going to have ramifications.
Yeah. He's like, Orihime kind of explained it to him and it was like, yeah, dude, I can't really explain it. But for a second, I felt like he was my friend. And even the way that the breadcrumbs were kind of dropped, I was like, what does that mean?
Yeah, what does that mean?
And we know this is going to have ramifications. Ginjo wants to attack Ichigo again, but Ichigo isn't fully healed. So Orihime uses a Shiten Koshun, a 4-god resistance shield that not only diffuses the impact of an attack by exploding, but responds with a reactive attack of its own. Dude, she's got offensive moves now. She ain't no just defensive shield anymore. She ain't just no healer.
Yeah.
She's got some shit she can do to fight back.
Even Ichigo's like, damn.
And she says, yeah, I've been training. Okay?
Duh.
We knew you were going to get your powers back. We don't know how, but we believed in you, and we've been training so that we wouldn't hold you back when the time came. I love it. I fucking love it. This arc is the best arc of Bleach ever. And like I said in the beginning, I like that it feels like that, like Ichigo being out of commission did give them time to kind of.
Oh yeah, get a little footing.
Right. Riruka and the donuts. Okay, I have a wild donut thing that I want to go on.
Theory?
Not theory, and it could be obvious, and I get a little,
wild
whatever.
Donut thing.
Right.
Your wild donut theory is like I like donuts.
Well,
too.
hear me out, dude. Because Riruka, that's my wild. That's my wild statement about donuts. They're bomb.
They're good.
Riruka, right, sits down to eat donuts. Funny moment with her and Orihime. She asks like Yukio, like, give us some table and chairs, bitch.
For real.
Yeah. And then Orihime's like, please, and he does it. It's a funny moment, right? And Orihime, she thinks she gets Orihime. She thinks she knows Orihime. And we all know people like this who look at you, and because you look a certain way, they think that they got you figured out. They're like, oh yeah, let me guess. You got bad manners from your fucking stupid ass fucking parents, huh? And she's like, actually, my parents were really bad people. They were really abusive. I never met them, but my brother took me away from them because they used to beat the shit out of us. And she's like, oh, so it's your brother who you learned that fucking bad manners from. And she's like, he's actually dead.
No, she just goes, yeah, he's dead. She's like, I like to meet this guy.
Yeah,
like he's dead. Just like bottom line, like no explanation. Like he's dead too. She's like, oh fuck.
And then she's like, damn,
I got nothing on this girl. I'm trying to bully her, but I can't do anything
because she feels so. And this is, everybody experiences trauma. Everybody experiences things that affect them, shape them. And they all feel and mean. I mean, you can't compare grief, but I feel like so many times we do, and trauma we do. We blame ourselves for feeling certain ways about how things happen in our life, or we get angry or frustrated at ourselves for letting those things get to us when we hear other people. And she, I think, for the longest time has maybe felt like I've had a pretty hard life. My life is pretty fucking bad. And she uses that as an excuse and a reason to kind of be this tsundere character and walk around with this attitude. Then she comes across Orihime, who's someone who has had a much harder life than her, but is smiling and is so bubbly. And that upsets her because it forces her to look at herself and how she's used her past as an excuse to be an asshole. But she, there's a line of dialogue where she's talking about donuts, and then she brings donuts up again later. And this might be very obvious, so I apologize if everybody's like, yeah, no,
I think
shit,
I might know
Josh.
where you're going.
But it's what a perfect thing for her to be obsessed with. Orihime notes that she only eats donuts.
That's why she's so slow.
Right. But what a perfect thing for her to be obsessed with, because just like hollows, donuts have a hole, missing from the center of them, where they got their powers from. She, in a sense, like, is hollow, has like a hole in her. And donuts are also, if you go to like a donut shop, they got frosting, they got sprinkles, they got all, like, they're a snack that's sweet and delicious, and oftentimes can be decorated to look very colorful and cute, but they have a hole right in the middle of them. And she is a donut. Like, she is cute, and she is,
She has a piece missing.
But yeah, and just like the hollows that she got her powers from, she has a hole inside of her heart too, just like the center of a donut.
That's nice.
And I was like, what a perfect snack for her to be obsessed with. I don't know. I just like that little touch.
It's cute.
And maybe I'm reaching, or maybe it's obvious. I don't know.
Or maybe you just figured it out.
Maybe I just cracked the code.
Maybe you just fucking cracked the code. Credit yourself.
All I know, Mehgan.
You want a donut. Yeah. I know, talking about donuts. Yeah, me too.
My stomach literally growled.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This might be crazy, but...
Don't fucking say it. Yeah, I don't get the hype about donuts.
No, I was going to say donut holes.
Better than donuts?
I mean, they're perfect, and they're perfect because they're discarded. And they're discarded and they're used to make something else, which no waste. And I really enjoy that.
I get that. I appreciate that, and you really did kind of sway me on it. But I was going to say before you swayed me that I think the twist is the superior donut. Something about the twist compared to the actual, circular donut. I think it's a better conduit for eating. Yeah. I like it. It's a better vehicle to shove down my fucking fat fucking mouth. Yeah.
My garbage disposal
of a body.
Oh.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Are you gonna have any like cool meaning behind why you like twists, or you just like how they fit in your mouth?
I like how they fit in my mouth.
Okay, got it.
And that's the twist.
Oh. Not really a twist though, because you explained it.
Because people know that about me, that I like things in my mouth.
Yeah. I mean, what the fuck are we doing here?
Okay, Mehgan. Jesus Christ. Second attack of the episode. Anyway, Ginjo, then getting back on fucking track, plays the villain for a second. I love this moment too.
Yeah.
Because he's like playing the villain, but then it's revealed later that he is the villain.
I was like,
this was
no way.
This was a moment to help kind of sell that he's not the villain, because he pretends to be the villain.
Exactly.
And it's not this, but it reminds me of this. Very Light Yagami. Okay. When Light gives up the Death Note.
Yeah.
Because he knows that he's going to be questioned a lot by all these people, and he doesn't want to risk anything slipping. He gives up the Death Note to erase all memories. So he is genuinely telling what he believes to be the truth. Felt very similar. Not the same thing, but
not the same thing, but another person obsessed with sweets.
L. Yes.
L. I would say W.
I would say that too. But he plays the villain and cuts Ichigo's eyes.
Bro, that was wild.
That was crazy. Yukio traps Orihime in a cage of like silence. Insane. His
I can't hear
abilities
anything
are insane.
you're saying.
And Ichigo starts to see and notice spiritual pressure, meaning his Fullbring is completed. Ginjo talks about, when it when it is completed, the energy it unleashes needs to be contained by someone else. That's why I needed to be the one that you completed it in front of.
Ultimate test.
But this was so fucking cute too, dude. It cuts to then Orihime like waking up and she's like made a life for herself in this digital world.
Yeah.
She's in like a digital
this
bed.
little house.
Yeah, little house.
And then she comes in and gives her like a hot dog for breakfast. I was like, okay. And she's even like trying to extend a hand, like, you want to eat with me?
Yeah.
Like, and she's like, no,
like
you're
brushing your teeth in her PJs.
You're my fucking enemy right now.
Yeah. Because
You're my rival.
Yeah. Ichigo's working on his physical training because he does have a human body, so he needs to tap into that to use his Fullbringer ability. Fullbring ability.
Yeah, sick ass suit.
Oh yeah,
sick ass suit.
This is next fucking level, dude. And I do want to talk about it too to help explain it. I'm sure most people watching and listening know, but if you don't, so the way it's explained is, after Ichigo's spiritual pressure vanished, whatever was left inside of him became dormant, and the Deputy Soul Reaper badge was used to stimulate that spirit pressure. And once enough strength was acquired, the two powers fused and allowed him to gain powers beyond a Soul Reaper. And that's when we do see his new suit that has the deputy badge as like a hilt, but then it spins and like even changes its design. Controversial opinion, dude. I fucking love that suit, dude.
Controversial opinion? How's that controversial?
It just looks so different than every other suit he's worn, or every other like.
It's not controversial. It's sick
garb.
as fuck.
Yeah, but it looks like a power suit. Like it looks like almost like a. It does look kind of like it is like. There is like bone maybe, but it also looks like not a mech, but you know how like people inside the mech, like the people who are inside of the mechs that wear those like skin tight suits, it kind of looks like that. I'm
like an Evangelion.
Like an Evangelion kind of bone.
Yeah.
Like, it's just so, I love it. It's so different. And Kubo talked about that too, how he wanted it to look like, he wanted like it to be that style of suit that like, as a kid you would look at and go like, damn, that's fucking cool. But awesome. Kind of bummed that he doesn't keep it for very long.
Yeah.
And we only get to see it literally this one time.
Yeah.
But it is what it is. I like getting to see it. I appreciate it. They leave the game and learn the time was fast forwarded. That's another thing I wanted to point out. See, to me, that was a far better way to do that than Ichigo going to fight Aizen and then right before learning that he has 3 months to train in this thing. Kind of a similar thing happening here where it's like you're training and time has been sped up. So by the time you get out, it's only been like a day or whatever. But I just like this so much more. This just like I felt like done better. I don't know really why. I just preferred it over what we saw him do when he fought Aizen. But Ichigo goes home and he finds Tsukishima waiting in his living room.
Bruh.
And all his friends arrive.
I mean, before that, even we know that he's there. He's just like, his sister's like, oh my God, like our cousin's back in town. So sick. And I was like, oh, so we're going to see one of freaking Ichigo's relatives.
Yeah.
And this bitch. And then I for a split second, I was like, bro, is this Ichigo's cousin?
I did too.
I was like, bro, that'd be so crazy, that connection, but it wasn't that at all, which like, I don't know if I was happy or like sad about, but honestly, the reveal at all, I love when stories do that where everyone kind of has like a false perspective on things and one person is like kind of the woke person and is just like, something's not right, obviously, but everyone else is looking at them like, you're not the right one because this is clearly reality and you're not living in it. And it's just like this back and forth of like, who's right and who's wrong, because in their hearts, they truly believe like, this is Ichigo's cousin. Ichigo's being fucking weird as hell, smacking the shit out of this guy for no damn reason, and he's just upset. He's just upset for some reason, and he apologized.
Yeah, and we learn more about his ability too in a bit. But yeah, I agree. I love this. It's just got such an like eerie air about it, and it just makes me kind of just uncomfortable. But I love that a story does that, or when a story does that. But Ginjo then says that everybody else was attacked by him too, because Ichigo like runs out. He's like, fuck this. He fights him, he punches him, whatever. Everybody's pissed, and he like runs out. And then Ginjo then theorizes that his ability isn't disruption of memory, but manipulation of the past. He's been using his bookmark to mark his existence into the past of those he cuts. To everyone else, they are the crazy ones. I love that because he's not going in and fucking with your memories. He literally existed in your past. He literally was there.
Mm-hmm.
He was there. It's not that your memory of him is that he was there. He was actually there. And he goes on to explain that later in more detail, and that's when it really gets like even more awesome to me. I'm a sucker for time and all of those things. So when he goes and explains it even more, I fell in love. One of the coolest abilities I've seen in anything. And I really personally liked it a lot.
Yeah, it was insane.
We're at that point now where I'm going to try my best to get through everything, but this is just such a fun arc. Yukio shows up and takes them to Tsukishima, and Ishida leaves the hospital. Everybody is inside this mansion, Tsukishima's mansion, and they're like throwing him a party. Ichigo's like freaking out again. It's some Twilight Zone shit. He's like, this is fucking crazy. He runs upstairs, and Tsukishima is protected by Chad and Orihime. He sees Tsukishima immediately upstairs. He follows him up there, and he goes nuts. And there's even this panel of him like fucking Spider-Man, dude, in the corner
For
of
real.
the ceiling. Goes after him, cuts his arm off.
Clean.
All the other Fullbringers are up there too, by the way, but he goes right after Tsukishima, and then he's like, I got to bring in the big guns. Chad and Orihime come in. That panel's so sick, and then Orihime heals his arm, and that's when
he's like, Orihime, don't heal him. And Orihime's like, why are you doing this, Ichigo?
You're crazy.
And then even he like compliments. He's like, thank you, Orihime. That was so nice of you. And she's like, yeah, no problem. Just like so excited, so
fuck,
happy.
Dude.
Yeah.
Creepy as fuck. Creepier than like Aizen's hypnosis. This shit is
for
creepy.
sure.
But they all talk about, like, what are you talking about, dude? Like, we wouldn't have been able to save Rukia without Tsukishima. We wouldn't have been able to defeat Aizen without him. Like, wild.
Yeah, and Ichigo's just like spiraling.
And he says, by changing the past, he says, because he obviously loves books and stories, and he talks about in like sci-fi and fantasy and all these things. He talks about everybody, talks about how if you go to the past, like, it changes the future. He's like, but if you go to the past, like, it changes like the present, and that's kind of what it changes the present, not just the future.
Mm-hmm.
And there was just something about that dialogue, and I kind of paraphrased it a little bit, but it's said more eloquently and better. But something about like how he said that, just really was like, damn, this is clever.
It was clever, and even like just to add to like that eerie effect of just like what's reality, what's not. Like when they're all just like yelling at Ichigo to apologize was so crazy, and it's just like bubbles, bubbles, bubble, bubble. Everyone's saying it like repeatedly. Like some of them are angry, but so other people are like just like just apologize, Ichigo. It's okay.
Yeah.
Say sorry. Just like say apologize, and he's just like, what the fuck is going on?
Yeah.
It was so. Yeah, it was
because hypnosis is another thing, right? For someone to believe or their memories to be altered, like, okay, that's not them, but this is them.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
This is their life.
Mm-hmm.
That is crazy. And he says, like, to even make it creepier, he says, like, now that I've changed, now that I exist in all the pasts of your friends and in your friends' past, like, you are the only one with a false past. Like, how many does he have to change before now you're the one who is living a false truth?
So let me just cut you real quick so you can be with your friends.
Crazy. That's when Chad delivers the line, like, I didn't become strong to fight you. Beautiful line. Ichigo starts to question why he even regained his powers if it was for this. Ginjo fights off the other Fullbringers and learns of Shishigawara's jackpot knuckle.
So sick.
Did not expect this character to come in, Shishigawara, and have such an important role, or play the role he did at all. In this story. But we'll get to that. Ginjo is stabbed by Tsukishima, but his ability doesn't seem to work on him.
I was like, no, not Ginjo.
Same.
No, fuck.
This is when Uryu shows up and reveals that Ginjo was the one who cut him.
It wasn't him.
He's like,
It was.
He's like, yeah.
Yeah. He's
No,
like,
go.
It wasn't him. And he's like, what? And he's like, it was Ginjo. And he's like, and he's like right behind him.
Yeah, because the way he even delivered the line was crazy, dude. Because he's like, no, I'm not yelling. Because when he shows up, Ichigo's like, oh, I don't know. Because he was attacked.
He was hit.
He was attacked. He was in the hospital. I don't know what side he's on. And he's like, Ichigo, stop there. And he's like, fuck, they got Uryu too. And then he goes, no, stop, because the guy who cut me is right behind you.
That makes sense because like Orihime and Chad would have been cut. He was the only one that got his arm cut.
Yes.
And you're like, oh, that's why.
Yep. And they were sprinkling that in before too. Like, it's so weird that the ability like is different, that we didn't get cut, but Uryu got sent to the hospital.
Yeah.
Maybe it wasn't the same person, but it had to be the same person. Yeah. Crazy. I love when a mystery is revealed and you see all the breadcrumbs were there.
Mm-hmm.
Every breadcrumb was laid perfectly. Ginjo then reveals himself to Ichigo and his sort of all plan and everything. Not so much his plan. He doesn't monologue too much, but reveals himself.
Which I liked, which I appreciated.
And steals Ichigo's power. So it is true that a Fullbringer, a Fullbringer can steal that it can go both ways.
Mm-hmm.
That they can, give their power to a deputy Soul Reaper, someone who exists between both worlds, but that it can, go both ways because he gives it to the other Fullbringers.
Yeah. Which was like kind of planned. I mean, that was planned from the beginning. They all knew, like, oh, don't take it for all yourself. Give us some too. And that's when Riruka is just like, I never agreed to that.
Yeah.
She's like, and that's what I knew. I was like, okay, this is my homegirl right here.
And they needed Ichigo, and it makes sense why then they would train him, because they needed him to awaken these abilities, to grow these abilities so that they could take them from him.
Mm-hmm.
And he is the only person that could achieve those powers. And so, yeah, I mean, it just makes so much fucking sense. Ichigo's powers are stolen. Ichigo is stabbed by somebody. He looks back and he sees his dad behind him and Urahara behind him. And they're like, it's not us, dude. Like, look who's holding the sword.
Rukia is too small.
Yeah, she's too short.
Yeah, he sees right above her head.
Yeah.
Until he looks down.
And it's just such a, like you said, mirroring the beginning of this story with this moment now. And Ginjo kind of goes, well, Ichigo regains his Soul Reaper powers. And Ginjo goes like, it's not like, you might have been able to regain your Soul Reaper powers, but it's not going to be enough, dude. From one Soul Reaper from her, it's not going to be anything. Like, I drained every last drop of Soul Reaper power from you. And that's when we find out that it's not from Rukia, but from fucking everyone. And the fucking doors open up. And this is a moment where I'm like, let's fucking go. The coolest time they have ever entered.
Honestly, yeah.
Yeah.
Honestly, yeah. There's been a couple times I was like, oh, it's so sick to see them again. But this time I was like,
yeah.
Clutchy.
And Rukia delivers another awesome line of dialogue. No matter how much the past has changed, he can't change your future. Kubo, yeah, it's me again, dude. I thought I told you to chill the fuck out, dude.
Everyone's shitting.
Everybody is shitting themselves.
It smells horrible.
I can't live in this world with all this fucking shit everywhere, Kubo. Then she says that, like, yeah, Ginjo only skimmed the top layer of his power that fused with the Fullbring. Soul Reaper powers are something that are innate and spring from within you.
So he can never take that from you ever. And I was like, fuck yeah, let's fucking go fucking kill these fucking baby bitches.
Baby ass bitches. And then she says, like, because he was crying, right? We talked about that.
Yeah, that was really intense. And we even see like Orihime's reaction to that, which was like so heartbreaking.
And they're starting to question their past. Yeah,
too. Chad's like, okay, why is everyone here to fight him? Like, something's not adding up.
But it's crazy because Rukia says, like, basically, like, they think they can beat you by causing you despair, but they don't know everything that you've been through. They don't know everything you've had to deal with, everything you've had to fight through. Mm-hmm. So show them that they cannot stop you with despair. And that's when he gets back up. And I'm like, God, Rukia
is always the one to pull his ass out of a hole.
Always.
And yeah, I mean, Orihime again, like, Ichigo's just so fucked up in that moment too. So crazy. He's just like crying, like literally like hopeless. And Orihime's like, why do I feel this way about him
Mhm.
crying? She's
Yeah.
like, I don't want him to cry. And then she looks at me, she's like, oh, good, he's not crying anymore. Good.
Yeah.
Why do I feel like that?
And he's
though?
at full strength now. He releases he swings his blade, and Ginjo's like, you are. This is what he says. Your Getsuga Tensho is way stronger, but still not strong enough to affect me. And he goes, that wasn't my Getsuga Tensho. That was just my sword pressure. And for all the times that Kubo has done that, again, this was the time where I was like, what?
Because he doesn't as a character, again, everyone in Soul Society is very aware about these abilities like Bankai and spirit pressure, and so is he to a certain extent, and he thinks he's got it all figured out, but again, he's just a fucking human. He does not know to the extent of what he is he was a Soul Reaper deputy, but I don't know if he's forgotten or what, because he's face cracked because Ichigo's just on another fucking level.
He's on a completely other
he's
level.
fought all of them.
Yeah,
he's fought Byakuya,
and won.
Kenny,
Yeah,
Renji.
Yeah, Aizen.
Gin? What's it? The bald guy with the
Ikaku?
makeup, Ikaku. He's just gone toe to toe. This fool's not no little. I don't know what
Hell
you thought
no.
you were getting into. You fucked up.
You fucked up.
You have fucked up now.
You fucked up.
Mm-hmm.
And Hitsugaya delivers another fucking cool ass line,
as he always fucking does.
Yeah,
Hitsugaya is awesome.
And Yamamoto, we see Yamamoto saying now Ichigo saved us. Now it's our turn to save Ichigo, even if that means breaking thousands of years of tradition.
Thank you. Finally, you fucking get it. Jesus Christ.
For real, took a long time.
No,
but damn.
literally, fucking
Better late than never.
Yeah, Jesus.
But Hitsugaya is but it was you, Ichigo, who changed that. And the power you received was a result of that change. So accept it with honor. You deserve it, because this power.
Yeah. And Ichigo's been so torn with that.
Yeah.
So torn with that.
Yeah, dude. I felt like I was reading. What's a famous poet, I don't read enough poetry. T.S. Eliot? They do poetry?
That might just be an author.
Yeah, it might be. But again, I just felt damn, just the lines of dialogue were so beautiful. They were songs. They were songs,
melodies.
Yeah. That's when Ginjo revealed that he was the first deputy Soul Reaper, which we kind of figured at that point. Orihime and Chad, we already talked about them questioning their past, but they get knocked out by Isshin and Urahara. Ginjo distributes Ichigo's power. That's when Riruka says that she's like, whoa, I never wanted it. And bro, he leaves Tsukishima out. And this is kind of crazy, because he says Tsukishima, if we give him, his power's already pretty fucking dangerous. And if we give him any of this power, it could, who knows what it could do.
Yeah.
So let's not give him any. And then after the shit's over, let's kill him.
For real.
Yeah. I was like, God damn, dude. Especially because now, or at the end, we get to see how Tsukishima looked at him.
I know.
Crazy. So the Fullbringers have been upgraded, and Yukio kind of locks them all in their separate rooms for their battles. This is where we finally get
good team ups here, he says.
Yeah. This is where we finally get some classic Bleach fighting, but it is after so much storytelling, so much build up, so much character moments, so much everything. It just is now I'm ready for it. Now let's go. Now I'm invested. Let's do this. And all of them are awesome. I'm going to ask you what your favorite was. First of all, I do think that, there was that cool moment where Byakuya and Kenpachi's like, Byakuya, switch with me.
Yeah. He's always doing shit like that.
He's like, your guy looks way stronger than my guy, dude.
Fuck.
And then that guy's like, I've made a contract to become the strongest being in existence. And Kenpachi's like, he slices through him immediately. He's like, damn, see, this is what I was talking about.
What a bore.
What a boring ass
And then he just gets out and he's like, I guess I'll just fucking wait for everyone else.
He's like, no one else is out yet? Damn, I guess I got to chill here for a bit.
It's literally 2 fucking seconds.
But other than that, what, and that was hilarious, but what was your favorite?
Probably.
Because we got Byakuya
maybe
versus
Renji.
Tsukishima. Renji
and Jackie. Yeah, I think that was my favorite. Because Renji, it is that classic, I'm not gonna hit a woman.
Mhm.
I'm not gonna put my, like fight a woman. And you're like, okay, Renji, like, what do you mean?
Yeah.
And then he kind of makes up for that at the end and is just like, yeah, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is sick. And
Yeah.
even Jackie, like, just her coming to terms with everything and like, pretty much just like saving him before her. It was just like a really great moment.
Because the world starts to turn on them.
Yeah.
And she says that it's not going to be, they're not going to be able to escape unless one of them dies. And now because neither of them have died, it's going to kill them both.
Mhm.
And he's like, I'm going to figure it out. Like, I don't know how, but I'm going to figure it out. She's like, you think like a child.
And I'll take you with me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then in that moment, she has that line where she says, like, I wish it would have been someone like you who saved me.
I know.
And then you see that little panel of her as a kid.
That's really what did it for me.
Yeah.
That's I wish I had someone like you in my life. Like,
yeah. Yeah. Because she's always been kind of not fully in on this whole thing.
Jackie.
Going through that leaves, and that was an awesome fight. Going through that leaves Byakuya versus Tsukishima, Rukia versus Riruka.
Oh, yeah, that one too.
That
obviously.
one's awesome. Hitsugaya versus Yukio, and Ikaku versus Shishigawara. And I think it was Ikaku versus Shishigawara.
That's probably my... I mean, story-wise, that I would classify maybe the second favorite, but I obviously Rukia's fight was sick too. But that one is definitely like, it was just... The ending was just so funny. It was just like, I freaking scold you and just tell you how it is and how you should live your life, and you just run off. Like,
and I do agree. Like, Rukia and Riruka, their fight is like a very close second for me because we just get that law of the jungle kind of speech during that fight.
Yeah,
so.
and also, I mean, just like Rukia being like, you think you could tempt me with all this cute shit?
Yeah,
like, it's
that was funny as hell. Dude.
Yeah,
that was
she was like in heaven. It's like Rukia's heaven. I was like, she's just like me for real,
dude. And that's what I mean. Like, even in the midst of battle, in the midst of a very serious like fight, there's still moments where there's humor that comes from their character, and I just love that. Like, I love that.
And all of
just
these,
like in this plushy world.
I mean, in all of these fights, except for like Byakuya, because he's not really a jokey guy.
Right.
But in all of these fights, I got that sense of like either like humor or, just humor, I guess.
Yeah, because even like Kenpachi's was pretty funny.
I guess not
Hitsugaya and Yukio either.
But he just thought he was annoying, and it was funny.
Yeah, that was kind of funny.
Yeah, he's just like, why do you talk so much? And they're both like small.
Yeah.
They're both like kiddish. So.
Yeah. But what I loved about Ikaku, obviously Ikaku, the luckiest man in the 13 court guard companies, talks about a man worth risking your life for.
Yeah.
And that whole speech where he's telling Shishigawara, who like is obsessed with Tsukishima. He tells him like, just imagine. He's like, throwing your life away isn't brave. It's kid shit.
Yeah.
He's like, imagine your, the person that you respect the most, like your master. Imagine him. What would he do? Just picture him avenging you.
Yeah, and he's talking, and he's like, obviously he doesn't get the question, and then he just like says it bottom line. He's like, I'm asking you, would he die for you?
Yeah,
and that's when he's like,
and you see him really process that.
Yeah,
and how that plays into like what he decides, and he's like, and if you decide you still want to follow him, then I'll fight you like a man, so you'll have nothing to regret. I was like, damn,
I know,
like it was so sick. I mean, he's the luckiest man in the Bleach universe, Ikaku. Like, I love it because even with the jackpot ability and it losing, its odds or whatever.
It was so sick. I mean, he's like, the more I use it, obviously, the odds go down.
Because he's like, I'm still lucky because I got hit. But it hurt, but it wasn't, all my vital. I mean, that's just like an eternal optimist way of thinking. Like, yeah, it fucked me up, but I'm still alive and it didn't get my vital organs that bad. Like, I must be pretty lucky.
Mm-hmm.
So it's cool to see him like be fucked up and then just be like, I'm a lucky guy, because he is. And it's so cool. That was a highlight for me. Obviously, Hitsugaya versus Yukio. That's when we learned about his parents, his relationship with them. And Hitsugaya, he can, Yukio can control the dimension, the monsters and everything. And Hitsugaya does look at him like he's a brat. And he goes on it, this spiel about his past. And he's like, I don't really care about your past. I'm not here for fucking story time. And he freezes him and he's like, you froze me because you took pity on me. And he's like, I also didn't take pity on you, dude. I mean, I just don't know that killing you would like free everybody else.
And we like made a pact, like we don't fucking kill humans.
Well, no, but then he did say you have 5 minutes to like figure this shit out, or I will kill you.
Yeah, he does say that.
He says I am going to kill. I didn't take pity on you.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was a really cool moment because even he thought he was like he thought he got him. Like I know who you are.
He really thought he got him the whole fight.
The whole time. Yeah. And then in the Rukia versus Riruka, that we learn about, it's cool seeing like Rukia try to use the Shunpo inside of the plushie, but then it fired inside the plushie, so it exploded. I mean, it was really funny and a really cool fight. But that's when she talks about, Riruka's like, we're not human, and Rukia's like, you're really hung up on like not being human
or not being. You want to be special that bad.
Yeah,
you want to be different that bad, and she's like, yeah, of course.
And she goes on this whole law of the jungle speech and says like, you're not eaten again. Another line of like fucking snap poetry, dude. Is that what it's called? Snap poetry? Is that what it's called?
Yeah. There's a type of poetry.
Okay, then that, yeah. When she says, you're not eaten because you're weak, you're eaten because there are less of you.
Snap poetry?
Slam poetry.
Slam poetry.
Oh,
yeah, snap
slam
is what you do when you applaud in
yeah,
poetry.
my bad.
Sorry.
I'm not a poet, dude. I don't read poetry.
I mean, yeah, we couldn't even name one.
That's sad.
Edgar Allan Poe?
Is he a poet?
I think so.
Maya Angelou's kind of a poet.
Maya Angelou is a poet.
I do know of some poet, but name another poet. That's probably it, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah. Fuck. We probably should.
Wait, I didn't want to bring it up again, but I did.
Right.
Because we evaded the question before. Right. But we named two, I think.
We think, yeah.
The odds?
I think, I appreciate poetry, the art of it. And I think a lot of times, in modern times, I think it's just, I think people think poetry is like corny and cheesy because of bad because there's so much bad poetry.
Yeah.
And there's just like stigma.
I mean, it's just words.
But I've read some fucking beautiful poetry. I can't tell you who it was by, but
Bleach
by Tite Kubo, yeah. But yeah, we should probably do that. We should probably read some more.
Yeah.
Just educate ourselves a little bit. We should be able
in case this comes up again, so we don't want to be embarrassed.
We should be able to name more than two poets. Yeah. And like be confident that they're both. We're not even confident that both of them are poets.
We just name dropped who
we're like for sure one of them is. The other one maybe. I think
probably yeah.
Anyway.
The snap poetry. Yeah.
It sounded right, but
it sounded right, and I agreed with you, and then I went no. That's
right.
Yeah.
That's because I was doing the snaps too. I was kind of like leading you to agree with me.
Yeah. Because what if I was like, no, you fucking idiot.
Right.
Yeah. You didn't want that. I didn't want that either.
But anyway, poetry. It's more poetry. All right. You're not eaten because you are weak. You're eaten because there are less of you. Mm-hmm. The real predators are always the numerous. And I just thought that was such a beautiful line. And that's when we get all of their backstories. And,
God damn. So amazing.
Yeah. I mean.
So amazing.
We get the backstory that Riruka had a crush. And she had her abilities were awakened when she was the youngest. She was the youngest of them all. And she liked this guy who was older than her and like trapped him in a treasure chest.
Yeah.
And would like feed him and like have tea parties with him. But then he like grew terrified of her. And she really realized like what she was doing. We learn about the guy who made the contract with the god of time and that this watch was passed down through his lineage. It was said to be this like good luck charm, and it had certain abilities or gave them good fortune. Mm-hmm. He learned this to be true or felt this to be true, and then after so much time, started to become convinced that it was like his own power, and wanted to see if he could use it himself to do whatever he wanted to do. And tested it out on his wife?
Yeah, that was crazy. He goes, I thought I'd test it out, so I thought I'd murder my wife. I was like...
But he became so delusioned, because that's another way of showing how just far gone he had went. Like, he was completely far gone. He was so just not there anymore. Believing fully that this was his own power. And maybe even felt like everybody else was less than him. And like, I'm just going to see if I can just kill this person that is my wife, but she's a human and I'm a god.
Yeah, so, for real.
But then felt bad after tried to cancel it and his eye got burned. We learn about Jackie and her dirty boots and how her dad gave her these boots, and so beautifully written. She's like, the one thing I noticed right away was that they were too big. They were clearly boots for an adult, but I didn't really care. My biggest fear was one day growing out of them. And then
she never did.
No, but they did get ruined, and that was so sad.
Yeah.
But she shows up with like her sibling like dead in her arms because her dad was stealing. That's why those boots didn't fit her, because he just stole them. And they came to like collect, and they killed everybody, and she like hated that she wasn't there. She's like, I never wanted to get my boots dirty, but the first time they got dirty was with the blood of my brother.
Jesus
like,
Christ.
I mean, like, what the fuck? It's like Kubo made up for not giving and I know a lot of people, and we have like looked into it and have definitely like analyzed Aizen more and know that he does have his backstory just wasn't shown to us, is my point. Like, I know that isn't, to so many people, doesn't make him like a better villain or a worse villain. Like, it's personal preference as well. But what I do personally feel like is like Kubo's making up for not really giving Aizen a concrete. He has a backstory, and you can piece it together, right? But it's not explicitly shown to us. I feel like he's making up for that by giving us like 6 awesome backstories like all at once. Who else do we get a little bit of? I think Yukio, yeah, which we got most of his from Hitsugaya, but we do get a little bit of it here too in this moment. They were all beautiful, all touching, all helped me connect so much more to these characters and really empathize and feel for them.
Yeah, and it was like saved towards the end, which I liked too. Like it was just perfect.
Then it's the end, which is the Byakuya versus Tsukishima fight before we get to the main fight. And, Tsukishima does hit Byakuya and inserts himself into Byakuya's past and learns all his moves and learns about the safe zone of his Bankai and his, everything. It's just a back and forth for a while Byakuya's trying to figure everything out. And the result of this battle, and it is awesome. The line that sort of summarizes the entire battle was Byakuya's like, I always thought that battle, like a warrior should like practice, and it was all about experience and practice and discipline. He's like, but you showed me the joy of immersing myself in the moment of madness. And he's just like covered in blood. And he's like, I really enjoyed this battle.
Thank you.
Yeah. It's crazy to see Byakuya like that.
Yeah.
That's a Kenpachi thing.
For real. And he's always been like, I'm not like you other people.
Yeah. And he's laying there. Tsukishima's like, because he inserted himself into Byakuya's past, he's like, I saved your life. Like, does that mean nothing to you? And he's like, he pretty much says like, you're Ichigo's enemy, bottom line. And that's like, doesn't matter if you save my life or not. You're his enemy. And that's all it takes. And I was like, God damn, how far Byakuya has come.
For real.
But then that's when kind of all the fights are resolved. And Rukia also just delivers this other cool line to Riruka after she's talking about the law of the jungle. And she's like, I understand and I empathize with you, but you have to understand that we're like you. We are just fighting together with our friends.
Yeah.
We learned that Ginjo can use all of Ichigo's abilities. Ginjo asks Ichigo why he's fighting if Tsukishima is dead, which he senses that he is dead or on the verge of death. And he's like, why are you even fighting if all your friends are back to normal? That's when we get the reveal of the true enemy and the true reason for the badge, which is for monitoring and control, which, like we said in the beginning, isn't much of a reveal.
Yeah.
Didn't make me think. I mean, Soul Society has never acted like they were ever above that.
No, for real. They've done worse shit. It does not surprise me at all. I was expecting, I don't even know what I was expecting, but yeah, I was like, that makes sense. Yeah. And even Ichigo kind of reacted like, I understand, but I accept it.
Yeah, he really was. I mean, he really was like, he like, I like how he says, shut up. He yells, shut up. And Ginjo's like, is that basically something to the effect of like, is that how you're going to respond to everything that you learn? He's like, the first shut up was for Uryu. Okay.
Telling me to calm down and shit.
Yeah.
I'm fine. I'm collected.
Yeah. The second shut up is for you. But yeah, basically tells Uryu like, yeah, dude, this is your concern. Like, you don't need to be worried about that. Like, I'm not that dumb, dude.
Yeah.
Like, I kind of figured that out and really learned that, like, Ukitake gave me a choice. And I get that.
This is my choice.
This is my choice.
I've chosen to have this power.
And he has a new Bankai, which is probably the sickest one he's had so far. I love the blade now. It's like spiked. So sick. And Ginjo goes into his final form. The captains return once Ichigo's choice has been made. And Hitsugaya is looking up at him and he says, like, I'm glad he was the next Deputy Soul Reaper.
Yeah.
Because they talk about how the original plan was they had Ginjo, they gave him this Deputy Soul Reaper badge. He was the first one. He did kind of go off the grid and they needed help finding him. So they always, before, the way I understand it, before Ichigo even came into existence, they just all figured one day someone like Ginjo, someone who walks between both worlds will be born. We'll make them as Deputy Soul Reaper to draw out Ginjo. And then we'll take them both out so that we can just like solve all of our problems. But again, Ichigo changed that.
Yeah. And Ichigo's a special case, obviously.
Yeah. So again, poetry. Ginjo is really looking at Ichigo, trying to understand who he is. And, you know, he does feel so similar to Ichigo. Because he's like, I have hollow in me too. You know how that feels. Like, they are so similar. Both Deputy Soul Reapers, both have walked between and can walk between both worlds. Both have hollow in them. Like, they are so similar and so the same. And he says, you understand who I am, and yet you denounce all that I am. What if our orders had been opposite? Like, would I be the one taking you out right now? Ay, dude. It just, from start to finish.
He denounces who he is because, like, Ichigo isn't that person. Like, Ichigo would never do this to other people. So he's denouncing, like, this evil side of, like, it's like, you know, what Ichigo could have been.
Right. Yeah. And again, Ichigo is seeing what he could have been, but because he is who he is not that.
Yeah.
And, I mean, this is, like, towards the end. And again, to have these, to, like, bring everything home, to bring it all full circle, to tie it all together. I mean, start to finish, this is fucking awesome. This is fucking poetry. This is peak Bleach. I'll say it again. I feel like people are going to get so mad at me, but
yeah, everyone's going to hate us.
But that's when he takes Ginjo out. And what's interesting is Ginjo is technically the first person that Ichigo has ever killed. And I think that there is meaning, a lot of meaning in that too. Because it was sort of a version of himself that he could have been in a different world. He could have been Ginjo. I don't think he necessarily ever would have been because he is who he is, but he's the first person that he's ever killed. Even Ulquiorra, he never, that was his like hollowified.
I mean, human.
And too. Human, for sure. But completely, you know, aware and, you know, present.
Yeah.
He killed Ginjo, which is, again, like, has a lot of significance and a lot of meaning. But that's when Tsukishima goes to cut him down, and Riruka jumps from Rukia to protect Ichigo. And she says, like, you know, can't you see what's fucking happening? Like, open your fucking eyes. Ginjo saved us, and we should be thankful to him for that. But we're not the ones that saved Ginjo. And it's just Ginjo's fucking dead body laying there.
Yeah.
And she's like, Ichigo saved him. And he is just constant, you know, and you just get that he was understanding, or he was contemplating all of those things in his final moments. So it's like, wow.
It was, super impactful. It was a great way to end everything. And we forgot to mention too, like, the Soul Reapers, like the Shinigami, like dipped. They're once Ichigo figured it out, we don't have any more business here. And even Ruki's like, what the fuck?
Well,
like,
they trust him.
Yeah, exactly. And that showed so much because, you know, consistently, I mean, it's always been okay, so let's stop Ichigo before he does this, or let's bump into Ichigo because he's not strong enough. And they're finally like, you know what? I think, he's got this. He's got it.
Yeah.
Like, complete trust.
That was,
and that's
so
again
cool.
What it is, like, with the Soul Reaper badge. Like, I don't know if they had complete trust in Ginjo versus like Ichigo. I mean, he's proved himself again and again and again. Like,
well, I don't think, and maybe they didn't have complete and full trust in Ichigo until he made this choice.
Yeah, exactly.
Until this moment, and that was the moment where they're like,
because I mean, because he's evolved. I mean, he is grown so much, and he's so much more mature.
Power.
Like mentally too. He's just like on that level now, and they're like, okay, this is good for him.
Yeah. And then that awesome line at the end, and then it cuts to Shishigawara, who like meets up with Tsukishima because Tsukishima's like got a hole in him from Byakuya, and he's like screaming through the forest, and we really feel it because we cut to and we see this moment of Tsukishima as a kid, as a little kid, and him being saved by Ginjo. And he's like, you didn't tell me what to do when you died. Like, you didn't tell me like how to live on. Like
Mufasa Simba moment.
Yeah.
You
didn't
in the
tell
stars.
me how to deal with all of this stuff. And Shishigawara comes out and he sees it in that moment. He's like, I couldn't see it. And maybe you didn't mean for this to happen, or maybe you did. Maybe you knew, maybe you didn't know. But when you were around, like, now that you're gone, I should say, he's like, I realized for the first time that like, I'm not alone. Like, it was so hard, I think, for him to see everybody else because he was so hyper focused on, this
Ginjo and the plan.
Yeah. And in that moment, and after the Ikaku speech and everything, like, it just makes this moment perfect.
Yeah, it makes their bond so much stronger.
Yeah. Even Yukio and Jackie kind of meet up. We find out that Jackie's alive after her explosion. Her Fullbring, her boots are destroyed. But even Yukio has this moment where he tells her, like, 3 years, I'm going to do right by my parents, and I'm going to use their money to like save their company, and I'm going to hire you guys. It's just going to give me 3 years to do that.
I was like, oh.
Yeah. And she's like, okay. Because, and he says a little tsundere line. He's like, because I know you misfits can't freaking make money without me or whatever.
Yeah.
And she's like, sounds good to me.
Yeah.
Riruka wakes up next to Orihime. And there's that really cute moment between the two of them. And I think she fully kind of finally like accepts,
love.
Orihime. Yeah. And it really accepts too that like, she just kind of sees everything that has happened and is just sort of like making peace with all of that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's a really cute moment. They all kind of leave. Urahara comes back later and finds out that she's gone. But before that, Ichigo goes to Soul Society, where he sees Kensei and Shinji.
Yeah.
And Shinji with them psycho bangs.
Yeah. He's like, I need to do a haircut.
I love it, dude. I love it. This man can't do no wrong.
He can't. Fly as hell.
But he has to take Ginjo's body back to the world of the living. And Shinji, the way Shinji talks to him, and he says, like, do you know what you're asking? Or are you sure you know what you're asking?
Are you daft?
Are you daft? And then they say, someone, I think it was Soifon or somebody else was saying like, yeah, like, you don't even know what that could mean, like, blah, blah, blah. He's like,
Soifon. No. Yeah, it's tripping.
Yeah, Soifon was tripping a little bit.
Everyone was just like, what are you talking about? Like, you want to bury him?
And Shinji was like, no, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about after everything he did to your friends, to everything. Like, are you sure that he deserves that? Are you sure you could do that? You're okay with that? And Ichigo's like, yeah, everybody is fine. Like, everybody's okay. And at the end of the day, he was a deputy Soul Reaper and he belonged to the world of the living. And it's just like that cements Ichigo's growth. Like who Ichigo is.
All
and
of
how
them
much he's
see
grown.
it. They're like, damn, Ichigo.
Yeah.
I didn't know you could think like that.
I didn't know you were capable of thought like that. I thought you were just strong.
Yeah.
And the way this arc ends is a perfect ending. It's Riruka on the edge of a building, thanking everyone and asking that they please forget her because she knows no matter how she says goodbye, she knows that they will never forget us. And then at first I couldn't tell if she jumped off the building.
Yeah, I thought she did too.
Yeah, but then in the anime, we did watch a little bit of the last episode, and then she does kind of just like go off.
She fizzles. Yeah.
But she disappears, and that is the end of the Fullbring around, or also known as the Lost Substitute Shinigami arc.
I mean, we kind of said, we said a lot at the top. I don't know how much we could say without reiterating ourselves because I'm sure you could tell how much we enjoyed this, reading it and talking about it with each other. But yeah, I was just blown away. Being someone who never experienced Bleach, it was all, just wait till you get to Soul Society.
Yeah.
Just wait till you get to Huecamundo. Even I don't even think the Vizards really meant you mentioned the Vizards because you like Shinji so much, and I was like, oh, I got super excited for that, and I was like, yeah, something to I guess like not look forward to, but to latch onto. And no one, not till later till we got into it, like no one has been talking about the Fullbringer arc. Like I think they should be doing.
Yeah.
They
be sleeping on it.
They sleep on it. People call it like a canon filler. Like I understand that with shonen. I understand that, big fights, big bads, like sick ass abilities, sick ass power ups, like are important because you are reading it at the end of the day, a battle shonen manga. That's what should shine. But seeing how much Kubo can really do, and I felt it when I was reading Burn the Witch too, because I felt like that had a great mix too. And just seeing him really shine, and you could tell he had so much fun writing this. You could tell it was so much heart in it. You could tell there was so much thought. You could tell just all of it, and it made me feel those things too. And yeah, I completely was floored at how much I enjoyed this. I was so just blown away at what I was given, and I hate to think like, this is what it should have been the whole time, because like all of those things are important to the story that's present and going to happen in the 1,000-Year Blood War arc. But yeah, this is just it's peak Bleach for me. Perfect from start to finish. I really can't say anything more. It was just all of the themes, all of the characters, all their backstories, the dialogue, the emotions, the art. I mean, it was just 10 out of 10 on all scales for me.
Yeah. And I think, I don't know this to be 100% true, but I think maybe what could have happened is that a lot of people had a tumultuous relationship with Bleach, because whether you were an anime only or a manga reader, I think that a lot of people have different relationships with Bleach. A lot of people loved it in the beginning, and a lot of people ended up dropping it around Hueco
mainly anime, I think.
Mainly anime, but I think there was also some people who maybe were frustrated with the manga and maybe did feel like it was getting drawn out or whatever. So I think that, I kind of like tend to maybe believe that a lot of the people who were out before they got to the Fullbringer arc, and a lot of the people that stayed because they liked what was happening in the Hueco Mundo arc. So I guess to say it better, I think that a lot of people maybe got frustrated with that sort of like fight everybody got their own fight, and it was like, 5, 6, 7, 8 chapters of one fight, and then the next 7, 8 chapters another fight. And I think people maybe got a little exhausted by that formula, felt like things were a little drawn out, and just felt like, Bleach wasn't really giving them what they were, used to it giving them, I guess. And so those people who didn't like that maybe the fights had gone that way or became such a even bigger part of it, because they did feel more drawn out than they did in Soul Society. Soul Society is full of fighting too. But it felt like there was still a lot of heart there.
Yeah, I agree.
So I think a lot of people who were upset about that or bothered by that dropped it in Hueco Mundo didn't make it to the Fullbringer arc. But I think those people would have loved the Fullbringer arc. And I think a lot of the people that loved those fighting, the fighting and, that formula, when they obviously continued. So when they got to the Fullbringer arc, they were like, this shit is whack. This shit is whack. This shit isn't enough fighting. It's not enough fighting. It's not enough, it's too much slice of life. It's coming off Aizen. This ain't it. But then, of course, there are those people who I believe were able to read it and appreciate it. And a lot of people, I think, have gone back and have reread it in preparation for the 1,000-Year Blood War arc anime coming out and have a newfound love for it and a newfound appreciation for it. Because in that moment, week to week, before you knew what you were going to be getting, and maybe your expectations were set a little too high, or you thought something else was going to happen. But I think going back, if you were one of those people who were like, I remember that arc being kind of whack. First of all, if you were watching the anime, don't do that again. Read the manga. But if you read the manga and you were like, it just wasn't it for me, like maybe it still won't be if you go back and reread it. But I would encourage everybody to go back and check it out. Because it's not that long. It's like 50 something chapters,
and it goes by just like this because it is so the pacing. There's not a dull moment. Everything is just amazing. It flies.
And everybody likes what they like. But for me, I have to agree with almost everything Mehgan said. And like I said in the beginning, this felt like it was like less fighting, more character. So many things that I missed and loved about Bleach were brought back, and they were put at the forefront of this arc. I loved every single moment, every single page, every single panel, and again, I felt like the art, of course, constantly elevates, but I felt like the dialogue really elevated, and I just felt so much more connected. And like I said as well, even though I'm repeating myself, I understood why Ichigo was going through everything he was going through, but I really felt it.
Yeah.
And
I needed that personally for Ichigo.
Yeah. I needed that to feel more connected to him.
Exactly.
And I really do. And I think that the Fullbringers, execution, they are just some of the best characters with the most interesting, I feel like, abilities.
Super complex characters. Yeah.
And they're complex, and their backstories and who they are is layered and nuanced. They are human. And I love that it was grounded again, that it went up as high as it did and got to the insanity that was Huecomundo and Aizen and all of that. This like really high concept thing, but I like how it was grounded again, grounded emotionally, and just grounded overall. This again was just peak Bleach for me personally, and I really found myself after reading it giving it, like you said, a 10 out of 10 across the board, and really did find myself wishing that more moments of Huecomundo and other arcs would have been sprinkled with some of the things that I felt like were sprinkled, because ultimately the Fullbringer arc had so much heart, had so much emotion, but also was just so fun. And it just balanced everything so extremely well and was paced perfectly.
Yeah.
I mean, I could literally go on. There's a lot of pressure sitting down and record this episode, because like I wanted to just do it justice. Like if anybody was on the fence about it, or if, anybody, remembers it differently, like I wanted to really sell those people on it. And I was really excited to share my love for this. And so there was a lot of pressure, whether I was going to be able to, feel like I was going to be able to do that or not. And
yeah, hopefully we did.
We were able to, express that love that we really feel for. And again, like Mehgan said,
I mean, people always say like we have like not hot takes, but like even in other series that they're like, really, you liked that arc, really? Yeah. And it's like, I feel like that's another case in this situation, but I feel like there is a large majority of the fandom that like really does either like appreciated it or found a new appreciation for it going back and reading it. And I mean, this was just a great arc to go into. I mean, the madness that's going to happen in Thousand-Year Blood War arc. I can only imagine.
Like that's exactly what I was going to say. I really am more excited than I've literally ever been to go into the 1,000-Year Blood War arc. I am like just fucking re-energized, and I know people have like we said, different opinions on it, but I'm all in, baby. I'm all fucking in. I'm ready to go, and I'm more excited than I've ever fucking been. So yeah, stay tuned for those reactions. It's coming out soon. But this is the end of our discussion on the Fullbringer arc, the Lost Substitute Shinigami arc, and our last Done Piece episode as Dunkai. Oops, they're gonna come for me now.
Oh my god.
My bad. There. I mean, that's what happens.
You said it so many times.
That's what happens when you put done in all.
Yeah, that's true.
And we did just do our last Done Piece episode.
Mm-hmm.
Well, as I mean, that's kind of crazy too that we kind of got to the end of One Piece and we kind of got to the end of Bleach around the same time.
Yeah.
It's almost like we planned it out.
Interesting.
But yeah, that's gonna be the last Dunkai episode. Dunkai. As we've been doing it, like I said, if you made it all the way to the end,
what a great way!
For real?
Perfect. I needed it. I needed this.
There's no better way to fucking end it.
Oh my gosh.
And it's not over. It's just going to change. So if you made it all the way to the very end, the way we're going to be doing it, and we've said it a million times before, but just to say it again, just in case, we are going to be reacting to every episode of the 1,000-Year Blood War arc, and we're going to be reading the corresponding chapters of the manga that are covered in the episode, and we're just going to be talking about. We're going to be reacting to the anime, but then we're going to be after the fact, we're going to be talking about some of the differences and just sharing our thoughts on both.
Yeah.
So it's not completely gone. It's just going to be changing. So there's still going to be Bleach content coming. So don't worry about that. And thank you for being here with us on this crazy journey. It's been a lot of highs and lows, ups and downs. But like you said, there's no better way to be here at this end.
The send off.
Yeah. Like I said, that's going to do it for the episode, but we're not done yet. Before we go, we do have to shout out. We do have to thank our wonderful, amazing, beautiful Patreon and YouTube members.
I just want you to know.
Each and every one of you guys from the bottom of our heart for all your support. The fact that you choose to give of your own free will out of the kindness of your heart means the absolute world to us. It's something we do not take for granted. It's something we will never take for granted.
Hell no.
And we really feel the love and we feel the support. And without that support, we wouldn't be able to do all the things that we've done and are planning to do and have talked about doing and have even started implementing. Like we wouldn't be able to do reactions to every single episode of the 1,000-Year Blood War arc. We wouldn't have been able to really probably maybe even do Dunkai on top of doing everything else.
Do a live episode every week.
Yeah, I mean doing the live episodes, reading everything we have to read. Like we just wouldn't have the time to do all that.
Yeah.
Without the support of our community. Like we really can't. Like it is how we're able to do all that. I know maybe other people say that, but it is the truth. We wouldn't be able to do it without you.
Yeah.
It's the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. So yeah, even down to the equipment and everything, this show is what it is because of our Patreon and YouTube support. It wouldn't be this show without you guys. So thank you again from the bottom of our hearts. But if you're not a Patreon or YouTube member and you'd like to become one, all you got to do to become a Patreon member is go to patreon.com/volume1pod and become a YouTube member. All you got to do is click join somewhere next to the subscribe button on this video. That gets you early access to all of our videos, all of our content. When we do reactions, even to the 1,000-Year Blood War arc, it's going to give you access to the uncut version of those reactions. Oh,
yeah. The uncut version.
And that's going to be a lot of fun. But early access and access also to our exclusive bonus Patreon podcast, Volume 1 Extra, where we talk about everything, anime and manga included, but everything outside of it, everything we're watching, consuming, anything and everything behind the scenes stuff. We talk about it all on Volume 1 Extra. It's a video and audio podcast you get. It never goes on YouTube. It never becomes public. It's only for Patreon and YouTube members.
Exclusive shit.
It's some real exclusive shit. So if you want to get access to all those perks and that podcast and the uncut reactions, you can become a Patreon member by going to patreon.com/volume1pod, or to become a YouTube member, you can just hit join somewhere next to the subscribe button on this video and you get all those things at our lowest tier on both places. But if you're not in a place right now where you can support financially or you just flat out don't want to, don't feel bad about that. Please don't worry. If you can't do it, do not worry. There are so many other things that you can do that mean just as much to us, that matter just as much you can do for absolutely free. And Mehgan will tell you all about those things right now.
Yes. If you have no more Bankai bucks to spare, Bankai bucks, don't worry about it. Not at all. We've all been there. I mean, we're still currently there. But if you don't want to or you can't, don't worry. All you have to do to support us is literally leave a comment on this video or any other videos. Like, subscribe, all that stuff, and it really does help us out. It helps the algorithm stuff, and it's complicated and crazy. But if you just do that, just know that you are helping us out so much. Again, on any one of our videos, you can comment a period. I've been seeing a lot of period comments lately, and I love it. And Algorithm Gang, you can become part of it today, become gang affiliated with Volume 1. And it helps us out so much. And we have social media too, Instagram, Twitter. Our Discord community is the best community on this world, on planet Earth. We have some amazing people that hold it down in there, and you could talk to anyone, and everyone's open to any and all opinions, and just really sick people that talk about anime and manga. And it's a great community if you want to check it out. All of that's linked below. And yeah, that's all the ways you can support us for absolutely free.
Yeah, any and all ways that you show your support, even by being here all the way at the very end. I mean, that matters so much. And if you know somebody that loves Bleach and has read this, or someone that you're trying to convince to give it a second chance or whatever, sharing this podcast, sharing these episodes with people helps so much too. View duration, like I said, even if you're still here, for long form videos, matters so much. So the fact that you're still here listening, looking at our faces, hearing our voice, that all helps. And you're helping, and we love you. And thank you for any and all ways you show your support. But the only thing left to do now is to get out of here on our outro that is always the same and never changes. And we got to have a good one today, Mehgan, because this was a fucking great arc.
Kubo brought it back.
Kubo
brought it back in full. It's a play on bring.
Yeah, brought it back.
Full.
Yeah, Kubo brought it back in full. Fullbring. Okay. Yeah.
Kubo's bringing it in full. Kubo brings it in full.
It brought it back in full.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. And until next time,
Kubo brought it back in full. Dunkai.
Yeah, dude, it was really the best arc.
I mean, are you fucking kidding me?
No debate, no.
It's funny. No, I just described it.
It's